Wrap up here in the market to start the day. That we're also decently removed here from those pre-market highs on the SPY, at least pre-market highs so far. Nasdaq a little bit closer to those pre-market highs, and we're notable gap up here for the QQQs with about an hour and a half to go until the opening bell. Now you've got USO. This, interestingly enough, looks like we're going to be, I think, just slightly flat as of right now, slightly lower maybe from where we closed yesterday, but we did actually have, gap down, kind of a recovery. So lots of action here in USO. We know that there is more tension here between the Middle East and the US that's heating back up. So keep an eye on those geopolitical headlines and stick with us on Trader TV Live. We'll give you all the information you need to know about all those headlines. In terms of some economic data here today, at 8:30 a.m., you're going to get initial jobless claims and continued jobless claims. 9 a.m., we get some comments from Fed's Williams. At 10 a.m., existing home sales and existing home sales month over month. And then you're going to get at 1 p.m. the 30-year bond auction, followed by comments from Fed's Logan at 1:30. So kind of light day when it comes to economic data, as we've seen for most of the week, honestly. Let's talk about some of the stocks that are going to be in focus today. We're talking about memory names yet again. One day until that SK Hynix U.S. listing debuts. So these are going to be back on watch here. MU, nice move up here pre-market. SNDK looking very similar, so keep an eye on everything in the memory space. SpaceX, speaking of space, is also in focus. They had that Grok 4.5 launch yesterday, and they also bounced nicely here off of new all-time lows. Going to be talking about Meta as well. A whole bunch of different catalysts here for Meta today. CRM catching a downgrade. There was actually a story here of Starbucks as well involving tech. So lots to talk about this morning. And good morning, Sharif. Happy Thursday.
Yes, likewise to you, Adara. Lots to talk about, as you mentioned. Waymo expanding their operability to 4 new cities. Cerebras also up nicely here, 6.7% to start the morning. They have a new tie-up here in the continent of Europe, AI infrastructure expansion. You also have GLW, Corning gapping up here to the tune of almost 6%. Something to keep an eye out for. FCell as well, one of my swings, catching a nice little move here, 10% in the pre-market. Michael Burry chiming in on Flutter and DraftKings. He's long those. DraftKings up 0.85 at the moment. Then we have a couple of earnings names, right? We got Levi's reporting, Pepsi reporting. They're both negative to start the morning here. AstraZeneca as well with a failed phase 3 study for their heart medication, down markedly here, Adara, almost 8%. IBM with a tie-up as well. I thought it was a good headline, but they're down 4.3%. Apparently, IBM is, let me just pull up the headline here, pulling into the agentic AI platform upgrades with an automation push, but the market not really liking that.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot to discuss here. Before we discuss what's going to happen, let's talk about what happened last night. We're going to get into the blue ocean to kind of see what some of the top symbols traded last night were. Once again, Micron leading the way here, MU, largest notional volume. Then really close second here, you've got the SOXL, so that's the semiconductor 3x bull ETF. Third place, another memory name, SanDisk, followed by the South Korea bull 3x ETF, KORU. This is another name kind of in that memory space. Then you've got the Roundhill memory ETF or DRAM. Nasdaq in 6th place here. 7th place, you have Alibaba, BABA. Then you've got another Micron memory-related play here, 2x bull, Micron ETF, MUU. 9th place, SOXS. This is the Bear ETF. And then another South Korea ETF, EWY, in the 10th spot. So it's really interesting. You're continuing to see this whole week on Blue Ocean memory names and some tech names on this list. But this is the first time we've seen Alibaba on here this week. So that is going to be an interesting look. Also an interesting look, as I'm sure whatever Sean and Neil have to talk about here. Good morning, guys. How are you doing? What are you looking at today?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, what a throw by Adara. Thank you so much for that. I mean, we always have some kind of interesting names to look at.
I hate to say it, Salesforce for bad reasons.
I hate to say it as well. Oh, how did your air conditioning story go? I didn't ask you about that. It went well?
Yeah, I got back from practice. Everything was installed. So
oh, good. Okay, because I was thinking like it's freezing in here right now, which made me think about that. So,
we have got the AC on this floor.
The AC is on blast.
It's out of control.
It's on blast more than memory names this morning over here.
Well,
it's the icebox, says Joe over here. Hey,
icebox.
There it is. That is kind of.
Hey, okay.
This is the coldest it's been in
Oh, 100%.
Forever, I think.
100%.
Right now, I don't know. Randy must be jacking up that AC over there.
Randy's
in. I got the jorts on over there. I
Yeah.
can't really see. Oh, he's got the jorts on. Yeah, he's ready to rock and roll. But it's pretty warm, man. Yesterday it was like almost 40 degrees again. So we're like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here.
Yeah, two of the kids,
in Toronto.
including Aaron and another kid, the two earliest to practice, both had to sit out the last 20 minutes.
We had a game. We had a game last night. But it was 8 to 10.
It was crazy.
And they had to sit it out. Well,
it was just like look. If you tell me you're getting lightheaded, and plus two, like
might as well to chill out. We
were there a bit earlier, so I had them doing stuff for like 20, 30 minutes before practice, and then everyone started showing up.
Practices are what, 2 hours or?
Yeah, a couple hours.
Yeah, ours are scheduled for 2 hours every time. And, we won. Shout out to Les, who showed up again last night to the High Park game, a friend of one of the dads on our team there. And we had 2 call-ups. It's the best when you have call-ups. We had these little kids coming. Oh, they're not that small, but I guess 9 and 10 called up into. Yeah, they got the call-up. Yeah, one guy got hit, of course, and but that's fine. He's fine with that. They're both very good. We won 12-3, so that's a good one. 10-4 this year so far. Not too bad. Blue Jays almost a no-hitter. Only one no-hitter in Blue Jays history. And almost had one yesterday. And I didn't realize Dylan Cease had one last year, 2 years ago also.
Yeah, he's done it before.
Shout out to Dylan Cease, our potential starter for the All-Star game, maybe? I don't know.
I hope he doesn't.
Well, the thing is, they only pitch 1 or 2 innings anyways, I think, as a starter.
No, because he to get the no-no, he carried like a career high in pitches into the 9th inning. I'm like, he just came up.
How many pitches was it?
It wasn't even that many. I think he was at 115 or 116.
Yeah, but nowadays that's like.
That's exactly like back in the day.
Yeah, Roy Halladay used to pitch 9 innings every game, regardless of what basically was going on.
But if you're the thing, it's what you're trained for. And if your body has been trained to throw 5 or 6 and only go 100 pitches, then that's what you're going to be capable
what baseball is.
You have to work up to it. Like guys can do it. It's just you'd have to work up to it.
There was never even bullpen games in the past, and now you get them all of the time. But
well, hopefully the Chips can keep it up and show some staying power, unlike Major League starting pitchers, because the rebound has been good. You're up almost a point today, led by the Chips. Downside action for pretty much all of software. So if you're looking at ServiceNow, CRM, I want to look for a short today. Hasn't looked too good.
Good, nice bounce back.
It hit a great bounce back, but 50 period. Now you're turning back in. There was a Starbucks headline looking there. Utilized a little bit more AI. That's got the space looking to the downside, and they catch a downgrade as well. So
Starbucks caught a downgrade?
No. So Starbucks was looking to integrate more AI.
Okay,
I like putting pressure on software. Actually, Starbucks is actually pretty flat, but CRM, ServiceNow, both looking incredibly weak. If you're thinking IGV in general too, that's not exactly looking very healthy for obvious reasons. Only down 1.6. Just feel like you get more out of CRM. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to watch. Pretty quiet for oil. That's a good. I think that's a good.
You're going to hit them 20-1. He said 20-1. Every one they get, there's 20 back.
But we're not exactly flashing up like we were at the end of the session yesterday. It was just like an oil rally for the last 30 minutes or so, and pretty quiet this morning, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't. We've been looking at SpaceX every day, but I don't know. Today, it's back up above 150. We could run the usual gauntlet with it and try to short. Well, not try, just do it. Get short when it breaks through 150. But that was pretty nice. Nice move yesterday. And then we'd gotten out around this 145 marker a couple times. And there it is, man, back up another $5. So that's a really good run there. Nice little buy and balance at the end of the day. It was about 900,000 shares. And you saw sort of the volume pick up there near the end of the day, and boom, shakalaka, all the way upside there, breaking through 150. And here we go, 150.50 now for SpaceX. So we'll see. I'm actually thinking about a long. The 200 period right now is at 148. We'll see if it holds it. The new release of Grok 4.5. I guess you got to. I loaded up my Grok. I don't have it, but I guess it's a paid for subscription model at this point. But SpaceX going upside there is. I was looking at other names. We had like AT&T and all these other names. Part of it is Starlink is just eventually the internet and everything. Starlink is becoming. I saw something on, I don't know if it was Instagram or it might have even been on Twitter, probably Twitter, but that Starlink is pretty reasonable now. It's like 50 or 60 bucks a month. Like it's not even that expensive here in Toronto right now. So I don't know, like that's going to be coming for some of these internet names and cable names. And what else can Starlink provide? But AT&T there today up 8%. What the? I'm not even sure what's going on with that, but that can't be right. Wait. No, that's not right because it closed at 21. No, that's not right. Oh, there it is. Okay. There it is. Now back only 0.24. So that's more reasonable. Yeah. So I don't know. Just some questions we get about AT&T. I mean, a good dividend, but if you're chasing that yield, downside right there as telecommunications being disrupted by so many IRDM. I mean, all these space-related names are having a disruption moment for the AT&Ts. And then that reminds me of TELUS as well. I mean, there's RCI is Rogers Communications. That's here in Toronto. They're the owners of all the sports teams around here. They've been getting hit as, if the daily loads up, I mean, they've been getting smacked very badly recently as well. And these guys are about a 5 or 6% dividend. I still own this name and it's just getting whacked right there to the downside. So yeah, just some disruption in the telecommunications space. And, we want to thank Starlink and SpaceX for all that. And I know AT&T is such a big holding in many people's accounts, and as is Rogers Communications. And I mean, there's it's not Bell, it's BCE.
BCE.
Yeah,
Bell,
BCE here. Yeah. I'm just gonna look at them on the New York side of things, but yeah, wow, $21. I don't remember it being this low either. And there's a lot of names that are starting to get hit in the space, in the telecom space. So maybe some value to pick up down there if you're looking for some yield. But wow. It just reminds me of what SpaceX, kind of the other side of it. There's the Rocket Lab, there's the Astera Labs, there's everything that's been going on in the sky. But then some of these, terrestrial names like Bell Canada, AT&T, and Verizon, and all this, they're all starting to, lose a little bit of their competitive advantage, right?
Yeah, if you look forward, it's hard to imagine a world where they will ever be what they once were.
Yeah,
but if you're looking forward, you mentioned Rocket Lab. Well, we keep talking about the 200 SMA. Everything in space dipped. All the space names dipped after the SpaceX IPO, but this is double bottomed now off the 200 period moving average. Look at that nice little bottoming tail wick.
I don't know where that's from.
on Rocket Lab. Randy's got this pointer that he's got. Like, first of all, why do we even have that?
Sharif.
And whose is it?
I don't know. Adira, what's the story behind this pointing thing here, this finger? What's the story behind this? Do you know what the story behind?
Okay, so here's the thing with my memory. If I don't know what a thing is, I can't remember what it is later. I was
gonna say, it's a point, it's a finger. It's just a...
I think that, do you scratch yourself with it? I don't know.
What?
I don't know whether...
No, I didn't know if there was...
I think it's just a
Randy,
pointer.
where did you get this from, Randy? Oh, Randy's the one that knows about it. Okay, we'll just put it back.
It's just a pointer.
This goes there.
You could maybe use it on the big screen over there.
Oh, yeah,
we do
maybe.
the options segment. We can
use
point
it
it.
on the big screen.
I don't know. I don't know what else you'd use it for. I can't really. No, seriously, Joe should use it on the options segment. You should use the pointer and then.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we'll do it in one of the lessons. Get up in front of the screen.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Fine, you can do the thumbs down. I'll use it in one of the lessons.
Wow, Joe's saying we should use it. Fine, yeah.
Then I will,
exactly,
Joe.
Like, what is that, a threat? I was just using it right now.
Oh, what the heck?
I was pointing to Sharif and Adira.
Now it's like falling in.
Ruined it.
There we go.
Over there.
Look at it.
Okay,
I'm using it, Joe, in the lesson.
Yeah, okay. We'll use that today at some point. All right, guys, let's go back over there. But yeah, it's disruption in the telecommunications space.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Meta. There are a lot of different stories here on Meta, both from late this afternoon and I feel like every 2 seconds this morning. But I want to mention again here, just on that IBM story, I will shout out to people in our chat who are mentioning it. So again, this Starbucks headline, which I mentioned and Neil also mentioned, yeah, basically they're going to be looking into AI here to reduce the reliance specifically on Microsoft and IBM software. So that's why IBM and MSFT got hit a little bit harder here today, with MSFT actually still making new lows. One of the articles I read said that Oracle software was also going to get reduced, but I couldn't find as many mentions of that. So, and guys know I'm always the first to dunk on Oracle, but I really can't confirm that in this case. So I think it's mostly here IBM and MSFT that would be affected buy that story here with Starbucks. But we'll get more into that in the rundown. In the meantime, let's talk about Meta. There's so many different ways to go with this. They were added to the US 1 list here by B of A. Got a couple different memory-related catalysts. What part of Meta do you want to talk about today, Sharif?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Canadian angle. All right, guys. So they're opening up a new data center in Alberta, of course, right? The energy-rich province of this country. It's going to be about $9 billion US, or about 13 billion Canadian dollars. And then now this expands their 33 data center, I should say, global footprint. Initially, it's going to be a 1 gigawatt facility, but it's being designed to actually take on 1.8 gigawatts. And it's a BYOP, baby, as we've been talking. Bring your own power. And they're going to use, I believe, natural gas here. And they've struck a deal with Pembina and Green Electricity Center. They're going to burn about 150 million cubic feet of natural gas per day. That's what they're burning just to be able to kind of keep this data center afloat. But here's the deal. The data center is actually going to be built out before the natural gas plant that's going to power it, which is expected in 2030. This data center is expected within 2 years. So there's going to have to be sort of a bridge between the completion of the natural gas facility and the data center. So they're going to actually siphon 250 megawatts of electricity from the local grid. But this will also be one of those, I guess, environmentally friendly data centers because they're going to use a closed loop water recycling here for liquid cooling, which should be interesting. So you got bring your own power, not increasing the price on local residents, and you have closed circuit water. So it shouldn't be siphoning off too much water. Interesting take here.
Yeah, I'll get into some of the other stories here, just kind of mention for you guys. As mentioned, they're now on the B of A US 1 list that doesn't, I don't really have too many details as to why, but it's now been added on the list. Apparently, this is the top ideas for B of A that are buy-rated US listed stocks. Financial Times also reporting that Meta is developing super sensing smart glasses. And then last but not least, Reuters reported the company's going to be starting manufacturing on its Iris AI chip in September of this year. They're going to double its computing capacity next year. So many different stories on META today. Are you guys watching this stock?
Well, it comes down to more spending. I think that's what everyone's boiling it down.
It's getting crushed.
Damn it. I think that's the sign. It's just, they've already been the dog. Well, Microsoft, I guess, supposed the Mag 7, but they've already been the dog along with Microsoft. And then just any excuse to say, oh, you're spending more, but you're not showing us what the money's getting made, and then you're going to be in more trouble for sure. So we got Marathon Digital signed a deal to acquire a 1,200-acre powered land site in Matagorda County, Texas. That's probably not that big of a deal, but I think the good sign would be, in this particular case, well, they're not stopping the spending. So if the hyperscalers continue to spend, that overall continues to drive demand and continues to be good for the chip space. So you can always point to that to be a bit of a good sign. But it's got a double bottom at $540, which has a chance to be a triple bottom if it can hold at $540. Downward sloping major moving averages. This time the bounce doesn't even get to the 200. It did last time. It didn't this time. So I don't see any reason why this is the time for Meta. You've got a good valuation, so there is definitely that. But look what's happening. If you're looking for value, yesterday you had, I don't know if it's still there because Broadcom just bounced huge. Yesterday you had Broadcom dip into the teens on a 4P. You had Nvidia bounce after dipping into the teens on a 4P basis. So you're also getting value in other places where you're just considering that you have a bit more growth, and that sort of is what it is. When people get to be able to pick and choose, and there's value across the space. You also had several bear market stories when it comes to memory chip names. So there was lots of things that pull back, and they're still not going to be in favor. But I think it lasts forever. I don't think so. They have some levers they can pull. I think when it comes to wearables, when it comes to being able to train on the physical world, that's something they can really tap into. They're going to have to battle Apple for that, but it's at least something that they can tap into. So there are some things that they can do. I just think it's a short till it's not. And Randy's in the house with a whole load of bacon. Anything else on that plate?
Long on pork futures over there. I don't.
Leave some for us.
Jesus, Randy. What the hell, Randy? That's a couple pounds of bacon over there. Just like This guy Protein, this guy's crushing the game over there.
What is going on?
Yeah, look, I mean, I just disappointed in myself because, like, yesterday we talked about how we wanted to sell Meta, and I was hoping that it would have gone the other way. And I was mentioning, like, if we get anything up to this 630 to 640 by the 200 period, I wanted to actually almost get out of everything Meta. I called Meta like the new tobacco, and honestly, damn it. Well, hopefully on earnings, man, we don't have to suffer through a horrendous earnings report. My bet is that this will be the worst one. Darn, man, that sucks. Well, okay, if we ever get a bump up, I'm definitely now. I at least want to get out of half of what we have. I mean, I've been in Meta since literally day one, and I don't like what they're doing here. I thought, being added to the B of A #1 list, down 4%. Come on, man. I mean, it's just like, what if it was added to the #2 list? I mean, what would be down 8%? Just kidding about that one. But yeah, that's not a good reaction today for Meta. They've thrown so many stories at us, and yet the stock is still getting clocked. Nasdaq's up today. Meta's getting hit. Like, this is not a name that I should even be in, but unfortunately I am. So yeah, Meta downside. I have nothing positive to say about it. All right, Joe over there at the desk calls and puts. Let me guess, Meta's a put of some sort?
No Meta here today, Sean, but we're going to be taking a look at some NVDA as we broke through some key resistance zone. Ozan knows about this one. So where is that next level and next target that we could potentially aim for? And we're going to be looking at this $210 strike price, ladies and gentlemen. But what we do have there is 44,000 contracts sitting at that level. We're climbing to around 206 right now in the pre-market. At Blue Ocean, we went to a high of around $208. Now, as for the volume, 93,000 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. That's more like NVDA, where we start to see a lot of the volume step in. Now, we're sitting on a $3 spread between the bid and the ask. Relatively cheap here, guys, especially if we get a move up into this level. You can see some appreciation within this contract, and I'm talking triple digits. Now, as for the delta, we're sitting $20. This is OTM, but that might slightly change after the open, guys. Now, as for the gamma exposure, $4, nothing substantial there, nor do we need to overly worry about that. The closer that we get to at the money, you'll see an increase within both your delta and your gamma metric. Now, your at the money IV sitting around 45.1%. Now, let's head over to the contract itself, guys. Now, surprisingly so, this thing was worth only $12 at one point before the open yesterday. Once again, a little bit more difficult, but this is the objective, is to see if we can get these big time returns. Nearer dated contracts, you want to get out most likely the same day. You don't want to hold on to these for too long because theta will destroy the value of the contract. Now, 836% here, guys, from $12 all the way up to $1.10. All right, so that's a big time return. Now, moving forward, let's take a look at some of the put activity. We got SpaceX on the list once again. We tapped into that 145 level yesterday, so what we want to look at is where can that next stage potentially be. Only 5 points lower, we're going to be looking at $140, possibly by the end of the week here, guys. Volume sitting around 27,500 contracts, open and closed on yesterday's session. 17,000. That was a little bit bigger than what we were seeing yesterday at that 145. So hopefully this is a base formed here on SpaceX. Now, SLV strike price $50 here, guys, expiring tomorrow. Now, as for the open interest, 13,000 contracts there. Let's see if silver can hold this $50 mark with 9,520 opened and closed on yesterday's session. So potential support levels here in both silver and SpaceX. Moving forward, let's take a look at Broadcom. A name that is up again here this morning, guys. We're going to be looking at this $400 strike price, which is going to be changing drastically after the open. Now, open interest sitting around 9,640 with volume at 23,200, opened and closed on yesterday's session. And for a $400 name, or sub 400 at this point, we're looking at a $16 spread and it's not the most liquid, but it was still within the top 15 of total volume on yesterday's session. Expect the Greeks to change after the open. $25 is your delta, closer to at the money. You will see an increase in both the contract pricing, your delta, and your gamma. Your gamma is relatively light right now, guys, and your at the money IV sitting at 56.7%. Let's move forward and take a look at the contract itself. Nothing from a NVDA standpoint, but still some appreciation within this specific name. We're going to be looking at the contract. As of yesterday, $121 is what you're paying on the ask at one point, and then it does peak at $4.97, giving you a 309% return. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Crazy. You could have used that pointer to point out how bullish Broadcom is.
The pointer would have been perfect.
It just takes a great segment to a whole nother level. Is all you really.
We're trying.
Think about. I don't know, Joe.
It's
right over here.
One of my favorite segments.
Right here. It's right here.
We like a little bit more than Alibaba there, my guy, Katina, man.
You like? I don't mind some Broadcom. I mean,
I love
the more Broadcom, the more Marvell. I want to say what's up to everybody here that's part of the TikTok neighborhood. A big shout out to Peter. A big shout out to KMG Design. Says check out TerraWolf. Bravely, thank you so much for all of your help over there. Good morning to Solomon and Fizzle and everybody that's here on YouTube today. We want to say a big thank you. Was that, hey, what's up to Speedy? Oh, here we go. Speedy YJJ says, what's up to Bacon over there as well. And there's more and more talk, so get into the chat. There we go. What's up, user? What's up? What's up there? There's a TikTok says, what's up, boss? So we want to say thank you to all of you guys. And Jay-Z is here. Oh, the one and only Jay-Z. Shout out to New York. MU is undervalued. Okay, we'll look at MU. No doubt today, as there's been a lot of names moving around. So thank you to everybody that's here on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitch, and worldwide. If you had a time machine, what stock would you have bought at the beginning of this month? Well, it's July right now. I mean, without looking at any charts, trying to think of a name that has really gone off here.
Financials have been strong.
So far.
Biopharm has been strong,
I mean, there's probably a little stock that's been going off.
Well, that's the problem. Like, if you don't know, like, some individual small ones.
I'm trying to think. No, definitely not Rivian. Rivian's getting clocked right now.
What's this?
Nasdaq's getting hit to the downside. Apple? I think Apple's done. Let me see what Apple is month to day right here. I'll just go with Apple, but just because I know how strong that's been month to date right there. And if you go back here, yeah, that's July, June, July, right here. Yeah, so that would have been a good one. Yeah, so we would have got this one about 280 to 290 area, and that's up to 312. What are you thinking about?
No, I was trying to think of a financial name that would have gone enough, but I don't know if there's going to be one. I know the financials have been strong.
I'll give you a 2-for-1. Robinhood.
Morgan Stanley. Well, yeah, Hood.
Yeah, so there we go. So I'll go 2-for-1 here.
That's my bad boy right there.
Yeah, there it is right there. So that's a good one. 99
I was thinking SoFi might have gone more, though.
No, SoFi's done nothing.
No, it's from January, from July 1st?
Yeah, nothing. $99 there for Robinhood up to 113. So there you go. So I give you two names that are 15%. Why? What do you got there? Whoever that super chat was, let me know what names you got.
Well, because it's really, it's a question of it's literally, you could just put it in the chat GPT.
Well, it's not
like a what would you buy?
You know, that's why you got to use the brain over there. That's why we've got Applehood. There you go. The combination there. And you nailed it with some financials. There's probably other ones there.
Yeah, well, I think the more important thing is what's the spaces that have been the strongest. Now, I love me some Robinhood. Like, if you're talking about something that we like going forward, well, great. Go back in time to like Robinhood magically at July 1st, or like it when it was accumulating at that $80 level. To me, which is more important. This is just trending to the upside, right? Like, it showed you, forget about when stocks just continue to go and try to pick where the bottom's going to be. When you see accumulation on a downtrend, that's where you want to try to get involved. You like a stock and it starts accumulating on that downtrend, then you go for it. Like that Robinhood. I'm just surprised. I was surprised yesterday that it didn't have much of a dip off of the open, but been bullish on it for a while. I'm involved for the first time ever, talk my own book here, because I never really owned Robinhood until I bought that in front of that $80 level, and now we're just looking for that 120 to get retested. It doesn't have a catalyst today, unfortunately, so I don't know if there's going to be anything you can look forward to maybe drive it in today's trade. But if the market does reverse, and we're at 1% now, so I'm not really thinking that it's looking all that bad. But if we do get any kind of a reversal, maybe looking for some of that support here in the hooded one. Good key close price back 108, 109, and then didn't dip right into it. Makes a little bit of sense. At least to me. I just don't think we're going to get the chance to dip by much like yesterday. But it's been an absolute runner from that 80. And it just goes to show you don't have to, and I'm going to pick on CRM because I'm sorry, but software is on the mind here. You don't have to try to guess at where the bottom's going to be. Let it accumulate and then hold some higher lows. And if it can't hold the higher low, it's so much easier to just get out of the way. We got 30 seconds until we get some initial jobless claims. So let's go up to the desk, get prepped for the number.
Yeah, guys, only numbers we're going to get here are those initial jobless claims. So forecast here, 217,000, slightly higher than the prior print of 215,000. Continued jobless claims, 1.814 million is the forecast. Prior print, 1.814 million. So we're expecting no change here for continued jobless claims, slight uptick in initial jobless claims. Again, at 10 a.m., we're going to be getting some more data, namely existing home sales and existing home sales month over month. And then at 9 a.m., so about half an hour now, Fed's Williams will be making some remarks. Let's see what we get here with this initial jobless claims print. 215,000, so exactly in line here with estimates, and continued jobless claims also in line with estimates here, 1.814 million. So dead in line with estimates for both prints. Kind of a, I guess, kind of ho-hum here. Just to clarify for initial jobless claims, 215,000. That's in line with the prior print, but I guess it's a bit below the forecast. So slightly lower than expected initial jobless claims, though no change from the prior print, and then continued jobless claims totally in line with estimates. Let's get into BE here as well. So Bloom Energy, as we talked about yesterday, Neil put it in the chat, I put it on the screen here during Joe's option segment, but they denied a short report that they got from Hunter Brook Research yesterday. Basically, Hunter Brook saying that they've lied about their supply chain and the fact that they're getting products from China, but Bloom Energy saying that these claims are, quote, false and misleading, and their scandium oxide supply is not dependent on China. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there, but nice uptick for BE. Let's talk about memory. SK Hynix IPO still tomorrow. What is worth knowing about these names today, Sharif?
There's a lot here to know, Adara. We're raising about $28 billion, but these are going to be ADRs. So let's talk a little bit about this, right? So the ADR process allows you, so say I own SK Hynix on the Nasdaq as an ADR. I'm technically allowed to take that ADR and convert it into a SOL share or on the Kospi. What's happening now, though, is that you're not going to be able to convert it back. And that typically is the case. So if I hold the actual stock on the Kospi, I would typically be allowed to convert it back into a North American common stock. For example, Alibaba on the Hang Seng. If I want to hold the ADR here, that's fine on the NYSE, can convert it to the same share on the Hang Seng, but I can also convert it back. You won't be able to convert it back here. So why does that matter? Most people only hold one or the other because a lot of advisory desks were predicting that the US ADRs would trade at a higher premium relative to the SOL common shares. Now that we know the regulator is not going to allow that sort of, what do we call, arbitrage may not even be existing, okay? So that's, well, some food for thought there. And then also, we got like this huge number, 7 times oversubscribed. People are piling into SK Hynix. Well, because there's no money required up front from these institutional investors, right? They can just allot shares for themselves without actually dishing over the actual capital to back that up. So what they're doing is they're just asking for all these shares and they're not throwing any money behind it so that they make sure that they're not priced out by their competitors. And then last but not least, we've also seen kind of this explosive demand that Wall Street's triggered immediate capital flight away from the Kospi. So what UBS here, they actually dropped a note for their investors and they're recommending their clients buy the new NASDAQ ADRs and then simultaneously, Adara, short the SOL listed common stock, which has helped this drop actually about 5% in the last few days. So an interesting ARB opportunity here from both sides for these new ADRs.
That's fascinating. We'll have to wait and see how it trades tomorrow. I also have a quick SanDisk story I want to mention here. Meta securing long-term supply deals, at least reported by Reuters, with SanDisk for both flash storage and also with Samsung for memory. So some memory deals here reportedly happening with Meta. As I mentioned here, the Meta catalysts literally do not end. Are you guys watching memory today, and which tickers would you be looking at?
Well, if you're looking at memory, I mean, DRAM's probably the way to go. Like, if you're looking until not this time tomorrow, but sometime tomorrow, when that ADR opens up, if you're looking for your exposure here and wanting to express the trade in SK Hynix or the space, it's going to be in DRAM, which is absolutely flying right now. And it was a tough road to hoe, and all of a sudden, we've broken that little downtrend. Like, there's your 50 period bounce at 57 level. You filled in the gap nicely. The only downside I'd give here, and it's not really a downside because if you're in any of the memory names, you're glad to have this return. But from the day trade standpoint, like when we left the day yesterday, I was sort of thinking, hey, look at that resistance to support. Like, anything in and around the 61 to 62 is going to be a good jump off zone. But hard to write that down when you're at 64 up 4% because a dip at this particular point gets a little bit nasty and we're getting to a little overhead resistance. So there's a bit of a ways to go. I just feel like you're going to have some kind of a dip at the open here. You know, the market seeming to, the inline numbers on job support seems to make the market gently go higher. We were already trending up in the first place. The trend is your friend. Hopefully we get some dip buys to be able to catch something on these chip names today. All of that said, tomorrow's a different story, right? Like once this is actually trading tomorrow on SK Hynix, I'm not just going to sit here and be like, oh, this is a great story, a great company. It's got to be a long. It's a hype. It's a big hype event. I'm going to be perfectly willing to play it in both directions. Like if SK Hynix tomorrow sets up, and I think the last price I saw was like $160 or whatever. So let's just assume it opens at 160 to make up a price. If I see it just holding the line with size and starting to threaten it, I'll probably take a break for a short as just a trade. But overall, you can't really hate the space. It's given you its bear market pullback, and now it's back on a bit of an upswing. And it just required that Samsung report where everything was good and the market decided to sell it anyways. And now we're on the other flip side of the trend. So the trend is back as a friend, at least for a couple of days here, or at least for this day. Can't even say a couple of days because SK Hynix will be, I think tomorrow morning. I think that actually opens up pretty promptly.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
I don't think we're waiting around for long.
It's a no-brainer there. 6150 long on DRAM. There's nothing else really. Exact same reasons here. Tomorrow SK Hynix will lead the way. Nvidia is helping with all of this move as well. So we've got it written down there for SK Hynix, DRAM, all of that. It's now just really taking off. When I wrote this down, this is where the 100 to 200 period was. We've started to go to the high side now. So I guess it's 6250 maybe right now for DRAM. And we're just going to be looking here, playing all of the dips. I like DRAM down there. And, I've recently bought Qualcomm. Should have, looked at maybe Corning. I like Corning just as much as I like Qualcomm, and that's filled its gap all the way back down as well. Huge run to 260 over the last couple days, and then pulled right back into 180, right back into the teeth of a great buy opportunity there for GLW. So I'm actually debating putting some money to work there. We sold some Marvell. We sold a few other names at at good levels. And right now, switching out of, Meta into a GLW or even the name that I just most recently bought was Qualcomm as well. And that one's been working out well. I think that was a 180 and change bid that we had gotten down here recently. It's not like it's, really rocking or anything yet, but we do. I picked up some Qualcomm just last couple of days, last week there with Joe. So somewhere around here, 185, something like that or so for Qualcomm. So a bunch of names there to look at. And then hopefully Marvell, which I'm still in, has a high side today as well. That's going to be up 5%. Yes, now 6%. So here we go, man. A lot of these names are getting beat up. But yeah, Corning, I really like that name. Deals with Nvidia, get that Gorilla Glass going on again there. And with more, cell phones being sold and, it's just, there is a data center story to Corning as well. This is one of those names that Nvidia, invested in or had a new deal with and started to create some upside momentum plays in Corning recently. And so, don't mind this name at all. We will get to Nvidia and all that story very, very soon. But yeah, for right now, man, I do like the Corning play and anything DRAM related. It's an SNDK story. It's a Micron story. SNDK was down to $1,600 right now, back up to 18. So, these names continue to work, and it's you do have to sort of grit your teeth and bear it sometimes as you take it on the chin on downside plays there. Intel also back to the upside. Oh, here we go. Was just bringing up Micron again, and there's Micron up 7%. So it's like, you know, you were thinking the last couple of days, oh my God, like, you know, we're down here, we're about to break lower, and then this kind of a move happens there. As there it goes, man. $3 billion investment for U.S. semiconductors. So yeah, there it goes. Is that from the U.S. you mean there? But
no, they're going to be investing in semiconductor production in the U.S.
They're investing in it.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, there it goes, man. I mean, we like to talk about U.S. built things these days, and you know, part of the story with U.S. builds are Intel and their foundry, and you know, just trying to get away from some of that China pressure that, you know, does exist. We saw Alibaba upside yesterday, and today it looks like it's a return in favor here, as many of these U.S. names. We get that Micron story, U.S. company, Intel, U.S. company, nice upside plays there in the space again. So yeah, like good looks buying some of those dips over the last couple of days. Will it last? We shall soon find out, man. I mean, we're getting ready for earnings season one more time starting next week with the banks. And then we come up, we talked about late July for some of the names, the tech names to start getting kicked out there as well. Yeah, I don't know anything about this VRAX. I haven't looked at anything.
The only thing I see,
today.
like its float is only a million shares on VRAX.
Okay.
So thank you for the super chat there, Tisha Perkins. You look at 927, first 927, which is just above the highs, then 13. I'm just gonna show you, because I actually don't believe this short float here. Sometimes you'll get these and they're not really updated. Probably check another source. It's not gonna be 130% sold short. Suffice to say, it probably does have a significant short float, which is going to be driving it a bit here. But there is a story. They announced that subsidiary VRAX Biolabs entered into an exclusive multi-country commercial supply agreement with Fosun Diagnostics for ImmunoSelect research use immunoprofiling product line. Bit of a mouthful, yada, yada, yada pharma is what I like to call those sometimes, but it's going to be about the small float, and then, of course, a lot of it is going to be short. It's doing all the right things early on, which is still making fresh highs in the pre-market, still making higher lows, holding VWAP, all the things you would like to see. So I think that's something that you got to be able to watch out for. Here's another healthcare name. There's been a lot of runners in the space. This just adds to it. I don't want to be pessimistic, but you guys in the chat, let me know. When was the last, because before I left for vacation, there were a bunch of these 100%, and Shreve might have the answer to this too, these 100% runners, and lots of them were holding out above 100%. They would hold those gains. They're doing well throughout the day. Feels like this week, I can't think of one of these that's also ended up, if it's only 170% in the morning and we're still over 100% gains in the afternoon. It feels like they've been giving it up a little bit more. What are your thoughts on that, Shreve? Is things cool down a little bit on these small cap gappers?
You know, I love to use the term the pickings are slim. That's kind of thing I always throw around on the midday. And Neil, the pickings have been very slim this week in the world of small cap gapper, sadly. But we already know these bad boys are cyclical, right? We have waves of them, and then more of them beget more. And that's the funny part about it. You know, there doesn't actually have to be a fundamental reason why these guys are running. If there's a triple-digit winner that day, there could be another one the next day. The only one that I'm seeing that I like right now is the one that you just pointed out, VRAX, looking fantastic here. Just breached $8, higher lows, higher highs, above the volume weighted average price. Only thing is, there's price action, volume divergence between this one at the moment. Down and to the right are the volume bars, up and to the right is the price action. Still trading below 9 a day, but you know what I say, when we get close to that 10, I'm already looking there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look over quickly here. We'll get into this in the rundown, so I'm not going to talk too much about it now. But Pepsi, I guess the earnings call just concluded that started at 8:15 a.m., saying the consumer is, quote, worse than what we had anticipated. So not a great look there. And again, we'll get more into that consumer weakness in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's talk about Corning here. I mean, as Sean mentioned, telecom, anything in this communication space, really strong. It's not just Corning, it's LITE as well. But their strength is very notable today, especially when you've got a lot of SaaS and other tech weakness.
Yeah, but zoom out, Derek, because this one just got clipped the last few days, right back into that technical $200 area. I couldn't really find a whole lot on it. I did see this Bank of America upgrade. I believe it is from yesterday. I don't think it's from today. It was published yesterday, so perhaps late in the day. $243 price target, increasing from $223 with a buy rating. It's a reiteration of the same buy rating. They say the same thing. They're emphasizing demand for their optical networking and business remains incredibly robust, according to analysts, despite, the recent broader tech volatility. Couldn't find more than that.
Yeah, we mentioned also here Pepsi earnings. Get into another earnings report here. LEVI, not a ton of volume on this, but big drop here when these earnings first came out here for Levi Strauss.
Yeah, this feels like a sell the news reaction because there wasn't a whole lot wrong here. Let's talk about this. Beating on the top and bottom line, raising their full year revenue guidance and increasing the dividend. I mean, come on, stop me if I'm missing something here. EPS at 28 pennies versus the 24 expected. Revenue rose a healthy 8% for a clothing company, right? Up to 1.56 billion. Management also lifted their outlook. They're expecting full year sales to grow at a healthy 7 to 7.5% for the full year, and they're guiding 146 to 152 EPS for the full year. So, I mean, to me, it just feels like sell the news.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see if this news continues to sell. Are you watching? I know you like Corning, Sean. Are you watching any of these other telecom plays today?
Morning. I mean, telecom, maybe. We talked a little bit about the sort of the telecom wreck that's been already happening there with the, older names, the legacy names like an AT&T, here in Canada, Bell, and BCE is the symbol there, and Rogers, RCI is the symbol there. But a name that we're not really expecting to move too much is actually moving quite a lot here, Pepsi. And you mentioned Pepsi and Levi there, down 3%. Pepsi getting pretty shellacked for their standards here today. Not a great look there for Pepsi. If you're holding it for the dividend, well, it's all gone today, down 3% in one day there off earnings. Not a great little look here for Pepsi as the investors are worried here that it's the volume. It's not necessarily, they projected here forward as we look at some of those numbers, 2 to 4% organic revenue growth, which is not bad. Current 4 to 6% EPS growth. So if those kick out, that's fine. But there's a lot of worry here about maybe the inventory. Is the the GLP-1 sort of phase, is that going to be something that eventually, as we see Eli Lilly taking out new all-time highs over the last couple of days? What does the GLP-1s do for these snack names, Frito-Lay and everything that Pepsi owns? Downside coming here for Pepsi. And yeah, you are looking at a break right now of this 136. We didn't get to the 200. We came close enough to that at 150. We break back down below the 50-period moving average there on earnings. Looks like Pepsi wants to go lower right now, and it's a good place to diversify. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, I'm too loaded up in tech names. I want to get something in consumer packaging and whatnot. But at the end of the day, not a great story there for Pepsi, down 3%, and probably an extended move according to options. And we'll wait to see what happens here with Pepsi. Not a great look here so far today, has been yet to catch a bid. And we've talked about the favored company would be Coke as opposed to Pepsi, but both of them are not doing the greatest. But you can see the chart. One is upside when Pepsi's all the way down here breaking lows right now. Coke, as we just mentioned, the preferred name, much better than Pepsi. And if you're going to play any kind of weakness on Pepsi, maybe you want to play that weakness in Coke off of a Pepsi move, and you can get a little bit better of a reaction on Coke. I mean, I don't know. We need to check out when Coke's earnings are.
Pepsi over Coke.
Snap?
Like the Snap spending in the U.S.
Oh, Snap. Yeah.
The Snap. Because the Snap is like the...
What is Snap?
I don't want to call it food stamps, but basically it's like the government funded. It's like 8 to 10% of grocery spending in the U.S. is funded by the federal government SNAP for like low income households is the way I want to think of it. I forget what the actual acronym is, but I would figure Pepsi gets, Walmart's been hit by that, basically reducing SNAP payments. And I think that's Pepsi definitely affected by that more so than Coke because they're a little bit more broad-based in the snack space. So, and again, one of the things they're also trying to do is restrict what you can buy with SNAP dollars is being talked about. So if they're saying, we don't want you buying sweet, salty snacks, all that kind of stuff, well, Pepsi gets hit by that a little bit harder than Coke. Obviously.
I don't know. Coke is not until the end of July, so you get a little bit of earnings, momentum, hopefully in the names back when we come to later in July. Right now, Yeah, so we've already talked about sort of Micron. It looks like they're having some news bombs right here early with Micron. There's another one, raises planned U.S. investments to over, it's the same story, but there it is, over $250 billion through 2035. So, Capex going in all of these names right now. Micron back above 1,000. We just took that out right now. Fading back just a little bit as people realize that $250 billion might quite be a large number. Just seeing Tesla. Okay, Tesla's still underneath that $400 mark. We'll see if that one can get going today. Bad day yesterday for TSLA. Bad day for a lot of names. We did get rally on near the afternoon into the close for many names, but that got faded right there after 4 o'clock, back down to 392. So Tesla, another name here that we can look at, up to 400, could be something looking over there. Hopefully this DRAM can come back in a little bit. We definitely want to get long on DRAM today. So any kind of a pullback right here sponsored by Micron might be nice. But 62.50 looks like a great little long there for DRAM. It's only 8.50 and it's Joe over there at the big screens with upgrades and downgrade.
All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades. At the top of our list, we have AVAV, Aero Environment, going from an outperform to a sector perform here with a $180 price target. That is down from $210. Now, Caesars Entertainment also on the downgrade side of things, guys. We're down about a little bit more than 0.5%, but going from an overweight to an equal weight with a $31 price target, that's down from $35. Barclays giving them the downgrade. Now, Salesforce also on the negative side of things here, guys, another 4.5% to the downside, going from an overweight to a sector performed by KeyBank. And then we have Paramount Skydance with a $2 price target. That's down from $14, going from a neutral to a sell. Apparently, the deal is going to be blocked between them and Warner Brothers. Now, Toast on the top side of the upgrades. This guy's going from a neutral to a buy with a $36 price target. Goldman Sachs giving them the nod this morning. Now, Five Below also getting the approval, 2.9% to the top side, guys, going from a neutral weight to an outperform here with a $220 price target. Mizuho giving them the nod. Now, the Trade Desk, a name that has been beaten up pretty bad throughout the year in the previous sessions, getting an approval here today, reduced to a hold with a $20 price target. You are down 1.4% this morning. Now, Robinhood getting an additional price target increase, guys, from to $122. That's up from $82 at Barclays. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
Yeah, a couple of stocks with two different trends on that upgrade list between Trade Desk and Robinhood. But I guess Trade Desk being updated to a hold, and when it's at $19, setting your price target at 20 when it's down a bajillion percent probably doesn't say too much. Robinhood might give us an opportunity here today. I certainly think that when you start considering the rally that it's finally gone on, the disconnection that they've gotten away from this connection to the pullback in crypto and Bitcoin, I think that's a really fantastic sign for them. Diversify the business. Obviously, it's going to help. All of this IPO mania, I think, is certainly helping them. And the retail side's more and more push. You've got the PDT rule that went away. We're talking about 23/5 trading, that 23/5 trading, which is eventually going to come. I think we heard from Daniel here at Real Trading that's something we're looking at the end of the year. And all of these things are bullish for Robinhood. Whether or not it can retest this trend line, that's not a today thing, but that's lining up with the 200 period moving average. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we get some consolidation on the next test of the 100. But for today, it's really just that 109, 108, 109, I should say, because it's this close going all the way back to the beginning of the month, and then the dip in the afternoon or the late morning yesterday at about that 109 level. If it gets down there, that's where I like it. I'm just not thinking that could be the case. If there was better than an upgrade catalyst, I'd probably have it on for a 115 breakout, but upgrades and downgrades aren't necessarily breakout catalysts for me. Usually you want something a little bit more fundamental to be going. So I'm going to stay away from that as a breakout and look to be buying the dip.
We have, we just saw a nice move in the last couple of days on Aero Environment, and now it's getting smashed again This was, another one of those names that, I guess I could have picked this one on July 1st that was right there, would have been down. But yeah, so, and I'm only bringing it up because we do have something that we call a flat bottom break right now. And yeah, this is going to be a disaster right there. Yeah, there it is. Good look there. 156 to 157 breaking right now, down on the downgrade for AV. And, you want to talk about, I think there's room to go lower, but I do like the name. We talk about drones and, what that means to these sort of war and, what this world's getting to right now. But you want to pick up some value. This is from its high 395 right now, down to where we are today, which is probably going, lower than that, down 58% right there from its highs. Right now, AV. So I don't, I thought this name would have been one that would have worked and just not right now, but looking to break lower there, stay away. Sometimes the gaps are a little bit big here to go ahead and trade these kind of names. So not really a name that we look at, but on the downgrade list. And
they're still over 50 forward PE. If that gets into the 30s, but they're well over 100% in revenue growth. It's just they're not making money.
Yeah.
But if they can get down to the 30s, I think that'll be.
Yeah, maybe. The PE stories are always something to look at for sure. And then this one here, Toast. Another Josh Brown name, looks like it's Toast right now. But at the end of the day, this $30 mark right there has been holding on the upside. So that's a nice upgrade. We'll see if it can work out. I think that, breaking through this 200 period moving average really gets this name going. So a 200 period break there on Toast, something to look forward to if that winds up happening. $31. More and more people have been going out, obviously, for, to restaurants and whatnot. And Toast is that AI name. They use an AI, but it's that, accepting the orders and putting them all together and just making restaurateur life a little easier on the order taking. And, but I feel like the restaurant game has been pretty strong. Maybe not very strong for a while, but I don't know. I'm seeing more people going out in the summertime. Maybe there's a little bit of a run up there for Toast, but I guess it's that whole DoorDash and Uber Eats thing that's also taking away from the whole eating out and dining out experience. We have seen some numbers there of a little lower takes. You see American Express reporting, little less on the restaurant side of things. And, you need those big bills to come through. And Toast right now, nice upgrade. We'll see if it can get going, but that $30 mark is something else. All right, Sharif's going to give us his FIFA picks moving forward. 8 teams left, Sharif. Let us know the ones you like.
We're all going to do it, Katina, man. We're all going to go and give our picks. And then I guess we'll do it per round, right? So right now, we got the final 8. We got the quarterfinals. So let's just review with everybody what matches we have today. The first one of the bunch, we got France versus Morocco. So, I'm going to go with a very controversial pick here. I'm taking Morocco on this one. I know France are the heavy favorites. I get that. But I'm taking the Moroccans. I love their counterattack here. I saw it live with the Canadians. They are clinical on the counter, and the French better bring their A game. Of course, William Saliba at the back for France. That's my Arsenal guy. So we'll see exactly what happens there. Then tomorrow we got Spain and Belgium. Okay, Katina, man, you know that I chose Belgium as one of my sleepers,
I do.
Right? So I'm going to have to actually take Belgium here, despite the fact, of course, I love my man, Luis Barbado. I love Spain. A lot of Arsenal players play on Spain, of course. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Belgium with this one. And then this is the one that, to me, is a no-brainer. I'm going to go ahead and take England over Norway. That is the first game on Saturday. England's my team, of course. I live there. I love Arsenal. And I don't like Erling Haaland. So we're going to go ahead and take England on that one. And then last but not least, this is probably the most controversial of the picks. And I got to tell you, the Argentinian defense hasn't been all that great this year. 2 or 3, depending on how you view it. Goals by Egypt on Argentina. Cape Verde also netted 2. And then they've also been a little bit weak there. So unless their offense is going to make up for that, I'm going to go with Switzerland, guys. Who's next?
Well, because you mentioned England, I'll just have to, I'm not going to go with my heart on that one. England hasn't really impressed me all that much. They managed to squeak some things out, and Jude's gone. And Jude's not playing this match. Bellingham's not playing, so I'll go with Holland there. I think it's crazy to pick against France. I'm just going to go eye test because I don't watch football outside of the World Cup very often, and France passed the eye test in a million ways. So it's got to go chalk. I think they're going all the way at this point. They just look the best to me. And so those are 2. I wasn't really that impressed with Spain last match. I like Belgium. I think you can go with Belgium as well. What was the last one? I missed somebody.
And then you got Argentina and Switzerland.
Oh, I'm going with Argentina. I have to. Messi finds a way. He just finds a way.
Look, I'm pretty sure the only one that knows anything about soccer here would be one and Sharif. But I'm going to go with France, Belgium, Norway, and Argentina. I'm going to pass it over to one, and he's going to give us his little look here. I'm very interested in what he has to say over here.
All right. So for me, I think it's going to be France, an easy favorite over Morocco, even though Morocco does have a sweet defense. But I think France, they have the better attacking power. But for me, Spain has been my #1 pick since the beginning of this tournament. So I'm hoping that Spain also proceeds to the semis. And with the rest of the games, I'm going for England and Argentina. But what I want to see in the final is a huge total story breaker, which is going to be Spain and England, because I don't want to see France and Argentina again in the final, because that's going to be boring. They were already in the final of the last World Cup. So I'm going for Spain and England in the final. And even though Spain is my pick,
he's here.
England, it's coming home.
Go, Joey.
That's crazy. Well, it doesn't really matter what I say. It only matters what Luis Barbados says.
Exactly.
And he's stating, can't believe you guys going with Belgium. I can see you know absolutely nothing about soccer. LOL. All I have to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Vikings are coming. Woo.
Man, give us your picks per round, man.
No, that's it. The Vikings, man. That's it. Norway. No, I do believe, honestly, we're going to have an upset there. Argentina probably going to win, and then France being a favorite as well, too, over the African team.
Do you want to chime in, Adara?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to go round for round because I'm not going to be able to give educated opinions. But I will say there are two teams that I'm rooting for. One is the Vikings, you know, shout out to Norway, as Joe just said there. It's just because I know a little bit of Norwegian. I find the culture really cool. And the second is Belgium, and that's also, again, for a reason it's not at all related to soccer. Sorry, Luis. One of my great-grandparents is from Belgium, so a little bit of family connections there. So I'm going to go with those two. And again, not at all based on soccer. Please don't take my pick seriously. Yeah.
There you go, guys. Fantastic look. Should we look at the futures?
Let's absolutely look at the futures. It's rundown time, guys, 9 o'clock.
All right, 746 and a third, guys, is where we closed out yesterday on the SPY. We're above it right now, 747. But again, we're still below that 750 technical area of resistance that we've been rejecting over the past couple of weeks. So that's where we're going to look. Our level 1, we're looking at that nice round number, 750. If we start selling off Adara, we got a couple of bucks to 745. That's been support over the last few days.
Time to support our watch list. You guys can get this for free. You can go grab it here. There's going to be a link on your screen. You can just type in that URL, or you can just go to the link in the YouTube video. What does this watch list have, you may ask? Well, again, for free, it provides you with earnings, on-watch economic data in focus, any stocks or companies that are going to be potentially on the move today or have already moved or might be moving. So let's kick it off here with a look at software. We know software actually on watch today because of a stock that has very little or nothing to do with software on its surface, Starbucks. SPUX reportedly here moving towards AI and maybe leaving some software from IBM and MSFT to the wayside.
Yeah, who said software Armageddon was over? Maybe in the price action it is, but in the actual fundamentals, is it? Because you're exactly seeing that right now. Circumventing some legacy software by Microsoft, which actually helps them track inventory, and the IBM software that they were licensing for a lot, by the way, that manage maintenance. And they're using all this with the basically vibe coding, developing in-house AI tools to get around that. So I feel like we're probably going to see more of this, Adara. Let's see how it trades.
Let's see how it trades. I want to mention as well here, CRM down about 4% here. This one actually a downgrade from KeyBank as well. So a couple different negative pieces of news here in the software space. Are you guys feeling the SaaS-mageddon today?
Well, it doesn't have to be SaaS-mageddon. I don't think that's the right word to use for it. Like, the CRM is at, what, $159? It's within stone's throw now, making another 52-week low. The trend is continuing to be your friend, only if you've been short. It recently bounced to exactly where you might think it would get to with a turn, the 50 period and the prior support levels. So that little reprieve that it had, maybe the downgrade's the reason. I think some of the other software names that took a bit of a hit on the Starbucks story and plus the downgrade, that's enough. I'm looking at, well, I mean, when we sit down, I'm sitting down, a little maybe more realistic to see the 162 for some prior support in here. but I'm going to favor the short unless it gets back above 162. I'm shorting pops in this thing. I'm just looking short. It's a continuation play. You even have like a classic like head and shoulders look, and then the flat bottom break. So everything says continuation to the downside. In this particular name, you don't want to necessarily lump them all together. I think sometimes if you're looking for things that can bounce, every now and then when the IGV or some of those names are down, you might see Palantir be down. And then if it has its own thing, maybe you can catch a bit of a bid. But this one, Salesforce, like Benioff, don't like the stock today.
Yeah, you're right about Palantir and some of these other names getting hit there. Whenever there's this sort of SaaSmageddon talk, as Adair just mentioned there, we do have a downside push now, and we didn't get above. We got above, but we didn't hold it. We've wicked a couple times above this 50-period moving average, and Palantir trying to get back to the upside there. It was a great little rebound, and I should have picked this one maybe start of the month, but movement. Definitely for Palantir, but I feel like there's a downside drift happening again. I mean, Alex Karp's been on various shows talking everything about Palantir and trying to talk up the stock a little bit as well. And they got to deal with Mexico the last couple of days. We talked about the border control. We talked about immigration, what they mean for the war angle and everything like that. But for right now, man, Palantir downside looking to break through this 126 area. And yeah, that's like, it just kind of reminds me, it's actually almost the exact same look there. It's not down as much as AVAV, but they had this dip down, then they battled back, and now it looks like it wants to come right back down in. If Palantir ever gets downgraded or something, I really think this name is going to get hit pretty bad. There's been a lot of chances for this to go upside here over the last little while. President Trump even, mentioned it in a tweet or a truth. The exact symbol there has now, you would have thought that with the Iranian war, or whatever this war is going to be called, starting to pick up again a little bit, that Palantir might have had an opportunity today to go upside here. Look, I'm a shareholder, obviously, and it hasn't been treated well off of that 200-period moving average. And I don't know if we're going to get back up here anytime soon. The software names continue to get hit, and you looked at it with the IGV. I mean, that's the right ETF for sure. And if a name like Microsoft, which Joe and I, and we all talk about the moat that Microsoft has around it. We do like, the Azure aspect there. Even Microsoft still with Windows and everything still has, and then OpenAI. There's a lot about Microsoft to like, but this one still can't get going either. And that's that same look that Palantir had, right? Up there into 450, and then a fade right back into 350. And then here it goes again, right? So you're looking for lower bids to come through on Microsoft. And I remember even talking about it up here, and it was like, oh my gosh, I had people, some of our friends messaging, and it was like, oh man, I missed the Microsoft run. And it was like, I didn't really have too much to say about it, other than we had to look at that 200 period. You might have got caught buying the rip through this. And if you did, man, that's kind of sucky because, I don't know the next time we're going to beat a 450. We have earnings coming up. These names could move easily 7-8% on an earnings call, right? And so, if that does happen, then we are back up to the upside. My big fear moving forward is, the earnings have been great for most of these names. And we've already seen some great earnings calls come through over the last little while, and they haven't reacted properly. Samsung gave us a big dip buy opportunity in the chip names. We had SNDK, we just talked about Palantir, we had the Nvidia with a monster number as well, and all these names getting hit to the downside. So yeah, not a great reaction here for Nvidia over the last little while. So I'm nervous about the software names, needless to say. But for CRM, a good one. And then what about Adobe? I mean, this is another name that we just had that Muse spark come through with Meta, and that was an image generation aspect there. And that did not generate very well, for Adobe. And now that's more downside there. So Meta announces something cool, they go down. Adobe, affected by that, they go down. So for right now, man, the software names, not in a lot of love. I mean, we even talked about OpenAI not even coming to market, it looks like this year. So yeah, just a little nervous about what all this means. The AI sort of boon that we're having means for a lot of these software names. I don't think we're wrong. And even PanW, not that.
I like them better.
I love this space. This is the space that if it continues to get hit on worries, of some kind of a can our software be replicated, or what exactly can we sort of, as a smaller business, maybe use lesser values for cybersecurity to come through. Also, the reason why some of this is going down is not the threat of like, hey, can someone replicate what CrowdStrike has or what PanW has? It's kind of part of the seat license issue, right? And that is that if you have less people in your office, then there's less sort of accounts to protect. And that could be an issue, and that's an issue for CRM too, right? The less people around to sign into Salesforce, the less seat licenses people have if they start cutting back, right? We heard Microsoft, Meta all cutting back on their employee counts, and that's definitely having an effect because all of a sudden, if you have everybody using CrowdStrike at their desk, protecting all the data, and you take that desk away, well, then you don't need that seat license anymore. So, we do watch out for some of these software names, and it's a concern early rate here for us. But, I want to buy the dips in strong names, and I think Palo Alto is one of those names. And the more we look at it, the better it will be, I think, for Palo. So just keep on buying some of these. And you could get the hack ETF if you're uncertain of, any. And this is cyber talk, and it's not all the same here, but this is one that, on the downside, you're going to get a little bit of Fortinet in here, Zscaler and all that. So, maybe take a shot here at the hack ETF or cyber, CYBR is another one in the space. And talk about a CBRS coming through right now. Good story with them.
Yeah, up.
And we had someone talk about this with a nice super chat yesterday, and it was, hey, what do we think about the RAM and the memory issues that are happening right now? What about Cerebras and what they're providing to the market? And we mentioned that the CEO was on there. And again, another name that's failed off of its IPO, but in and around that 180 marker might be a decent buy. Let's go back over the desk. We'll find out about it. Then we'll look at the chart.
Yeah, we're going to talk here really quickly. I just got a story here on Apple, so I'll mention the stock's not moving, but I guess they reportedly held talks with Prism ML, according to the information. This basically has to do with the idea of Apple potentially using Prism ML's technology as it pushes for more on-device AI. But now let's talk here about CBRS, because CBRS, some positive news here out of Europe in terms of where they're trying to expand to going forward, specifically deploying some AI compute capacity.
Yes, absolutely, Adara. Multi-billion-dollar expansion, into Europe. They're targeting, I can't speak, 200 megawatt footprint across the continent. We're talking about France, Norway, Finland, all by the end of 2027. We've talked a lot about, though, European data sovereignty. They don't want their data on American computers where the US government could statutorily elicit that from their companies. So they want them sovereign and governed by EU law. We've been talking a lot about that. So how are they going to build this thing, right? A lot of it is coming from OpenAI's massive $20 billion multi-year compute contract, meaning the Nordic and the French buildouts are going to be completely insulated from any capital expenditures from Cerebras. It's going to be financed entirely by OpenAI, according to the reports. And then, these things typically take 3 to 7 years to build, but it's not going to take that long this time because they're reusing prefabricated already warehouses that they're going to convert into data centers. So it's going to be a little bit quicker. But guys, they are trading pretty richly here, 130 times. In fact, price to sales, nearly about 130 times. So any, maneuvering here in terms of stock price could hurt their ability to finance the non-Nordic and non-French data centers. And the last but not least, Adara, we talked about tech analysts. They view this as a multi-billion-dollar kind of continental placement as a calculated political defensive play. So if the U.S. comes out and says, no, you can't use these type of chips outside the continental United States, they've already deployed that there. So they basically insulate themselves from any sudden U.S. government export controls.
CBRS, you guys trading this one today? It's back above that 185 IPO price.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a good recovery level. The last time it bounced off 185, because it lost it a couple weeks ago. The last time it bounced off 185, it was an unbelievable day. Like it went 185 into 220. Now Shreve nailed it when he said it's richly priced. So what's gonna have to work for them is they're gonna have to continue to get 140% revenue growth year over year, which that's where they're at right now. But that can't slow down. I think this is the kind of thing that helps it. So I don't know, it's probably still too rich for me, but for today, it's got to be about whether it holds 185. The day that it did it, that last one we were talking about getting to 220, it dipped in the morning. So it was dip all morning long, and then right at the open, it then caught a bid right around that 185 spot. I think that just kind of gives you an easy over/under level. Like it wasn't even on my iPad, but I'm literally, I don't need to put down anything, but it's just a mental note. 185. If it bounces off that in the open range, then I would look long on CBRS. Still probably a little bit expensive for me, and I don't know, it hasn't broken the trend on to the downside on overall on the daily. So I don't know if it's like a start a position kind of moment for it, but no, I do like it today over 185 at least.
Yeah, I mean, the 180 is the mark that it came to market with. And then, we've been holding that level, really. I mean, you had one downside day. We came in there yesterday. And again, a big shout out to our audience because you absolutely nailed that yesterday. And you mentioned about Cerebras and coming through with, a new kind of RAM. And now you're getting it there into Europe. And we'll see if it gets accepted in the United States. And then we get going higher after that move back up to 260. I wouldn't be surprised if we got something between the 240 to 260 area right in and around there. So I like this move higher. Just interested in where it goes from here. Up 5.6%. I don't love the name, but I do think there is a potential, for this to get going. And let's just look quickly to see, when is the report coming? Because that's all that really matters. I mean, the fact that, as Neil and Sharif said, it's a little bit too rich, who cares? It's just about what do they guide forward? August 19th right there. So we still have a long way to go. I mean, PEs in this world are something else. We understand that, if you're looking at a Walmart or you're looking at something that doesn't have the growth expectations that a brand new name we've never seen before. Look, there's no PE at all right now. The P is 400. There's no forward. We have not got a guide. So we got to wait to see how that comes out. Obviously, right now, we don't have enough information to sort of properly value this name. But hey, CBRS, man, I mean, it should be good. It's down not 100%, but it's down 50%, obviously, from its highs there. It got as high as 350, back down into 170 there. So, this name's been chopped in half. So at some point, you'd think the buyers would come in, but, let me indicate to you, there's many different names, like a Figma or anything, that came to market. And, picking on Figma, we just did software, but, you can look at StubHub or any of these other IPOs that have come into market, even in the last, Figma's older now, but in the last little while, like there's a lot lower to go in many names, so just because you break below that 180 or hovering around its IPO price, it doesn't mean that, you can't break it and get a heck of a lot into those names later on. And right there, Figma, we actually had Steve Tileman on and, talking about wait a couple years before you invest in any kind of an ETF, an IPO. And, I think that that's a good example here for CBRS. You at least got to wait for 1 or 2 quarters to make sure, what the guide looks like, what their customers are. Because right now you're just hearing from analysts and from, the people in the know. I actually want to see the real numbers, right? So, the same bankers that brought this name to you at 180 had it go up to 350. Let's see if there's some support down here, just like SpaceX, right? SpaceX has that support at 150, it seems like. Had they let it go a couple times? Yes. We actually don't even have SpaceX to talk about here, so we can do that a little bit now. There's that 150 mark, and this is actually a pretty good looking chart, both ways. If you're looking for a short, I mean, this doesn't look very strong. IPO move up to 230, comes right back into this 150 mark. And we played the 150 breakdown. We played the 150 move higher as well. And right now it looks like it wants to hold, but at the same time, it also looks like, there is some pressure here on the downside. When you're looking at the down plays, right, that's a huge day. I don't know if we can, zooming in here, there we go. So look at the up days, right? So once it starts to trend, it gets going, but then, it can wipe it all out. Like the down days are pretty dramatic here on SpaceX. So let's just wait to see if some of these bottom wicks wind up holding here on SPCX. I don't really have a trade idea for this one today. We've been looking at it every single day, and it's just for today, little strange on SpaceX. Was not expecting it to head to the upside like this on that Grok 4.5 release. But hey, man, SpaceX upside for now. Maybe a 150 defend happens one more time here today. So yeah, looking everywhere. Cerebras, it's going to have the news to it, but still 2 million shares on SPCX. Should be an interesting take here on the long side if we get back into 150. Pretty sure I'll be sitting there. Let's just see what we wind up doing. Let's not sit there early, though. Could get run over. the next story is a really interesting one because, you know, there was a short report there. It was defended. I'm starting to not be able to feel my hands. So I think I need some Bloom energy here to heat us up.
Ridiculous.
And, you know, if that can get going, yeah, there it is right now. If that can get going, then, you know, we'll get some heat around this place. Let's go back over to Sharif and Adara. I know this is a name that Sharif's interested in, as many of you guys are as well. So let's hear from the big desk what the story is here with BE.
Hunter Brook had this report yesterday called Bloom's Big Lie about their Scandium supply chain. There were a lot of quotes, I guess, of the CEO saying they didn't use Scandium from China. That was called into question by Hunter Brook, but then denied today by Bloom. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it, Adara. Let's throw some context on this. Who is Hunter Brook Media and why are they chiming in? Well, they've got two divisions. One is the investigative reporting, investigative journalism division. And then the other division is the investing division. And they work, of course, as you probably guessed, hand in hand. So one does the research, the other one takes the aggressive, I guess, short position here. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but something to think about, okay? Now let's talk about the assertions that Hunter Brook is making. While Bloom Energy, they firmly reassert their complete independence from China-sourced raw materials. Custom tracking records compiled by these short sellers, they paint a bit of a different picture. The core friction here is that essentially centers around the routing pathways. So the allegation is that these Chinese-backed suppliers like Hunan, Oriental, Scandium, are quietly funneled through intermediary countries. We're talking Thailand, we're talking Japan, South Korea, to mask their true geopolitical origins. And the way that Hunter Brook was able to make that assertion was, according to them, satellite imagery where they were able to track that Scandium tracking from China into these third-party countries. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they make allegations that they're not going to be able to meet their 5 gigawatt stated output. And the reason they're making that assertion, Adara, is because it requires roughly 220 tons of high-grade scandium oxide annually. The entire global projected, of course, global supply is 240 tons. So where's this 220 going to come from? They're going to mine the entire globe? That's not what Bloom is doing. Bloom is relying on a highly proprietary operational workaround. What they're doing is they've quietly locked in this IP to chemically extract and reclaim already used scandium, right? Oxide directly out of external global industrial byproduct and exhaust systems. So they're reclaiming already used ones, they're not mining anew. That's what their response is. But we're not gonna have to wait long, Adara. July 28th, 2026, the company faces a very high-stake regulatory reporting because they're going to be reporting earnings, of course.
Yeah, let's find out what happens next year with BE. Are you guys looking to bloom with this stock today?
I didn't realize we had an iced coffee machine over here now, Randy. I mean, these coffees are freezing now over here.
Cold brew,
baby. I love the iced coffee. I see, I know you're a fan of iced coffee. I see Joe's got an iced coffee over there today. What was that, a Tim Hortons one there, Joe? It looked good. Oh, you got the large today. Okay, put those guns away, my guy. Why do we have,
all about
what is Joe even doing over there?
Just casually, like, yeah, I'm just yawning. Let me throw the gun show up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There he is.
Look,
Next
what's
thing we go over
actually,
there, he's going to be tarps off, this guy. You know,
we ain't doing that on this show.
Tarps off over here.
I know. I literally have goosebumps right now. And not because all these chip names and energy stocks are looking really good. You got a good bounce in Vernova off its 50 period, which is happening right now. I think anytime you have a short seller report, keep it simple, stupid. If the day of the short seller report or the day following is the temporary bottom on the third day, then it's a long. We see this time and time again. I don't know that I want to necessarily chase this move. I didn't read the short seller report, and I often don't. I just like to look to see, does it make a fresh low after the report is made? If the answer is no after a few days, 2 or 3 days, in this particular case, it'll be the end of the week. I think you're a bit of all systems go. That said, in this energy undeniable, you talk about Meta already mailing out this new data center, and they're not building the power plant until after they've started the data center, so they're going to be behind, needing to tap the grid. Everybody needs power, so that's going to be good for Bloom. It's been good for Vernova. These stocks are trying to get back into some of those highs, but specifically with the short seller report, if you're if you've been tracking the stock and you're really confident about it and you've read the report and you're like, it's fugazi, you probably buy that sucker on day one after the report comes out. I like to give it the old 2 or 3 day rule, but it's already done a very good, we're gapping higher when this came out from when it came out yesterday. So I'm hard pressed to believe that come tomorrow, it's not going to have held these lows, and then you can start filling in the gap even more. Just get that exit liquidity, because let's be real, they put out the report yesterday, but the short position, if you have to take some guesses, is probably somewhere up here in the 325 mark. So they got to make their money by getting out.
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. And that's why it's always, bless you, I think that's why it's always a questionable decision to trade off of some of these reports. I mean, digging into it the way Adair and Sharif have, provides great advice. And I want to make sure that everybody does. There's lots of stuff on the note. Sharif's morning note talks about Bloom Energy. So if you guys want to do that, become a member immediately. It's 12, 13, 14 pages worth of data. And there it is right there. Get your head start every single trading day. Membership's only $5. It's the best. Like for 20 cents a day, man, you're not going to, regret doing that. Grab it right now for all of your information, key levels, key ideas, everything like that happening, and helps you go through the rundown and gives you some ideas. I think it's great for swing trading with some good levels to talk about there. Talk about power, and again, it's a name that I'm in, and just relatively recently there, CEG, it's not done well. It's done actually very poorly since I've been getting in. We did buy some at 300. We did buy some there at 260. So we are underwater on Constellation. But I'm just looking at it and thinking, hey, maybe we are. That's going to be Randy with our iced coffees. Down there at 250, right and around there. Yeah, I think this one has a good opportunity to maybe get back up to the upside. We saw IREN moving as well over the last couple of days. And $45. Good for IREN. Again, another good day off of a nice level there in and around $40 for IREN there. I told this story the other day, Randy, and now you can verify this. Remember about 10 years ago when you and I were going to set up a Bitcoin mining? There you go. Yeah. See, he doesn't want to get involved because he knows where this is going. But we talked about this the other day. So shout out. Okay, good. Yeah, let's get that mic going there. And, it was an idea that we both had, and we were wondering about power generation. And we decided that, hey, maybe we could sneak a rig somewhere around here to drain power and to produce more Bitcoin. Unfortunately, we didn't do it. Fortunately, maybe for our careers, we didn't do it also. But that was a good idea, I think, back then.
It's amazing how power has become the biggest problem, hasn't it?
It really is.
Exactly. I mean,
not just for Bitcoin, but for AI, and it's all about power, or the lack thereof. But I installed the new CarPlay this weekend and installed the new ChatGPT update in the CarPlay, and it's excellent. It's fantastic. I was playing with it all the way to work this morning, and AI, we need it. We it's a thing, but power is
so
gotta have a power name.
We need that for our air conditioning to keep Neil cold.
Why did we go into
keep the coffee cold and?
Why did we go into CarPlay there? What was going on with that? Is that just something on your mind over there?
I love it. The newest, Sharif got me into the new version. It's fantastic. It's
good, man. Yeah, well, hey, man, Apple keeps on winning, and we've seen the Apple chart. So yeah, shout out to that. And I've got at my house right now. I got a used refurbished iPhone 15 Pro. I only have the 14, but I wanted to get that new one, the new AI chip there, and I can't afford a new iPhone. I just give that to my wife and kids. I got to get the scraps right now. But yeah, I got the iPhone 15 Pro. Should be good. Yeah, Sharif was indicating to me too to get that new Siri as well. Is now available. So, all right, it's only 3 more minutes to go. So we have Pepsi and Meta. Pick your poison, Sharif and Adair. Only 3 minutes.
Both poison.
We'll try to get through both really quickly here. So Pepsi, you had basically really close to estimates here for both EPS and sales and maintaining their fiscal year guidance. This is at day's lows. Not a lot of caffeine here.
Yeah, they beat on revenue, guys, but North American weakness is clouding the outlook here, specifically 220 EPS versus the 221, so a miss there, but revenue did rise about 6%. They're also continuing to worry about decreased consumer spending on some discretionary items, as well as their food division not doing that well, Adair.
And then you have META, as I said, literally too many stories on this today, but I think maybe the biggest one here is this new Canadian data center because more spending, oh boy.
$9 billion US dollars, 13 billion Canadian, expanding a 33 global data center footprint with a new one here, 1 gigawatt initially, guys. We're expecting up to 1.8 gigawatt. It's going to be a bring your own power type of deal using gas turbine generators, much like what Elon Musk is using. And it's going to be a closed circuit water cooling system, Adara.
Are you bringing your own buying power to META today?
Maybe not, but certainly to the place that when the hyperscalers spend, they're going to like, and that's going to be Nvidia. I'll get to that in a second. There was a drop just now in SpaceX right at about when the imbalances came out, but I didn't see a sell imbalance on it. I did see a small buy on Nvidia. There's really nothing on the locator here. You got GLW, which is a 170 buy. I actually like them today. That's a good-looking chart. So Nvidia had a small imbalance, which is bringing it back in, but it was the strongest thing in the afternoon. Final look 200 is the A level because that was the breakout trade, and then 202 secondary. Going to look for some buy the dip scenarios in that name. Still looking at that CRM for a bit of a short, but just to show you what happened on SpaceX, there it was. It was right at about 925. And I didn't see a sell imbalance on it, but my guess is it's probably a small one caused that little dip. Bouncing off 150, it just seems like that stock, it tests 150 every single day at some point. Gets too far away, probably a fade back into it. I like the 153. 153 on SpaceX. It gets up there. I think that's a nice little pop and fade.
Look at this on the sticky note today. Look what we have. That's me, Trader TV Sean. Then we have Trader TV Shuan. And then I have an assistant apparently as well. So you guys can have a quick look over there. I'm going to block all these guys. But what I want to get to was SMCI. 27 to 27.50 to 28 long on SMCI is on the note today. So this is a name that I forgot to get to when we sort of talked about semis there. But I like SMCI, and it's dipping down here again. Try to see if we can play some of that momentum back into $28 to closing price yesterday for SMCI. Everybody, get ready to rock and roll with VinFast. We want to thank them for their sponsorship here of the opening run and our opening bell. So thank you to VinFast. Check them out on the exchange. VFS is your symbol there. Yeah, okay, here we go, man. Ready to rock and roll now as SMCI. We're waiting for $28. We'll see if that can come in quite early. The market's fading out just a little bit right now, so downside here for SMCI. Let's switch over to SpaceX. Nope, still can't do it there, Michael. Man. So we still do have very bad quote issues off the open, but we're just waiting for that to get settled out. So SPCX right now, waiting for it. There it is. Okay, only 30 seconds there. Yeah, not bad. 150.50. So watch out now. As Neil mentioned, they dropped right into 150 there, and boom shakalaka. We'll see what winds up happening here with SPCX.
Yeah, and Nvidia also dropping continuing to drop at the open down into 203. Looks like it might get that 200 test. Want to be patient. It's that first candle down. If you just sit on bid, you tend to get run over on any kind of a buy the dip. CRM I like for a fade if we're going to pop today. CRM still down 5%. Software names getting tranched. These guys were just a simple downgrade. Might have to just look at VWAP for an opportunity to get into this and say, you know, if you're not going to get 162, that's something that could have been something in the pre-market, but not looking very good at all. So getting the bleed there. The other name that is bleeding is Meta. Low of the day, just broke it. Well, just tagged it, down 4% as well. So the weak are staying weak for sure. Yuck, and yuck Meta, yuck CRM.
Yeah, no, it's I'm in. So we're in here to, I mean, probably in a little too early, but we're going to try Nvidia right now, and I actually meant to put in a 202.50 order there. We put in 203.50. We meant to take one fill, not two. I don't know if does it show? No, it's only showing one. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's fine. We have that one fill there on Nvidia. I wish I had one share on this name right now because it's coming back down in. So we have quite a bit more than that, but we'll wait to see right here what happens with Nvidia. We wrote down 202 as a potential look. Look, I mean, I thought that could be something that holds. You know, whether or not it does, you know, we're about to see right now on Nvidia. And here it comes in. We're just going to give it to 202, man. If it breaks it, then we'll give it a little underneath that. But that's why we're going long here into yesterday's closing price. And I thought the Nasdaq might have been onto something here today, and maybe it's not. So there's 202 right there. That's why we're long. Let's see if it can work itself out right now. Long at 203.17 to start the day. It's Nvidia's world. Maybe not today, but it was yesterday. Let's see what winds up happening here as it approaches that 202 area. Let's get a little more long if it gets down into that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking for. It's just not quite getting down into that level for sure. We did talk about SpaceX, and I'm going to maybe amend that 153 because it's already looking like it's losing that volume-weighted average price and seeing a little bit of pressure. So it just broke the 150. I'm going to play off VWAP here and just get that 150 if I can, and then jump into the south side. NVIDIA is still doing the same dance. We just talked about that name. We didn't mention USO. I know oil has been a big story. There was a dip right before the open on USO. Still not a lot of volume and not doing much. I'm going to remind everybody you get nat gas at 11:30 or 10:30 today. So that's going to be one that I'll be watching boil specifically around that time. So whether we actually get picked up at the 150 area short or the NVIDIA.
It's at 150 now, I think, SpaceX. Is it? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I'm sitting at 150.22 because I like that number. CRM just popped up for me, so we're able to get into CRM coming back. Oh, come on.
I was just making sure that my quotes were the same as yours there because I was like, I see it there at 150, and that would have been a great call there at 150.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's now at 159.73. We'll wait to see what happens there with SpaceX. Another name that, of course, we talked about earlier was SMCI, getting that long at 28. We're going to wait to see if that kicks out. Here goes NVIDIA. Let's go, baby. Nice move higher here as there it goes. Let's see. Let's see if it wants to hold it, man. We've been buying it. We've done this the last couple of days. We'll see if we can put this into the dollar club here. I'm waiting at 204. I almost said 304 there. We're waiting at 204, 304 next year for NVIDIA. But right now, here we go. Just give it to me, man. Why am I sitting at 04 flat? I don't normally do that. We just took one out a little bit ahead of it. But again, you got to let these trades mature up a little bit, right? There's our 202. Again, a top play for me on the node. And we're just going to, that's a rookie mistake, man. That went right back up into the 90s. And we talked about that a couple times. That's an out. You don't need to be waiting at the exact dollar to get it out. We should have done better there. Disappointed in myself there for not having another out up here. Look, we have one at 85. It's all good. I'll go sit at 90 this time and see if it wants to blow a little higher there. SpaceX still underneath that 150 SMCI. And the other name.
That keyboard that you just have it again. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, you got to figure that out.
No,
there.
I know, but at least I know what it is.
He'll be able
no,
to
I just keystroked out of SpaceX. You know what? Maybe it was a good decision. It might have been a good decision. It got down, so I'll show you what happened. We got from VWAP. It just broke down to 149. I was able to get the 30s in here, and I was going to go for a reload and ended up like punching out at the 150, but I'm back in it now at the same price. So maybe it was the right decision. I ended up maybe being a good thing. We got the reload on VWAP, and they're actually starting to buy this one up pretty precipitously. So I might get some out here again into the low. Once this breaks out above the volume-weighted average price, I want to be done and waiting for like the 153 level, which I think is still going to be that key over there. We'll stop to fail on CRM. That was not a keystroke error on CRM. That was a play for the volume-weighted average price break. So short, give it to VWAP. Next level, 162. Not going to hold at 58 to 162. I think that's not reasonable amount of risk. And NVIDIA, yeah, we're not in that one yet. I'm still sitting on the bid. Wow, that came real close. Okay, real close. I'm just going to move my bid on that wick, because if we hold VWAP down, I think the next test might be a little bit lower. So either going to buy it at a higher low or wait for that 202 to come in. The market's absolutely screaming. I guess SpaceX is just not doing its own thing, or is doing its own thing in this moment. What is actually causing the market to rip? Probably Micron 7% to the upside. Probably DRAM.
Yeah, DRAM's been good.
Which is 6% to the upside. You're not getting the dip for this. I would look maybe the VWAP, see if you can't get a pullback in that regard to join the party that is, well, I don't want to say it's ending tomorrow, but there's a big event happening in the memory space tomorrow, and that would be SK Hynix. Sometimes there is a bit of sell the news. It's a lot of hype, 7 times oversubscribed for that ADR. It's almost like they're getting ahead of it today.
Yeah, I think so as well. We wrote down DRAM as a long today. It hasn't really come in. Oh, I wanted to address something over here. It was Dylan up here. Why do you guys, it'll be past it right now, but thank you for the chat. And it was about why do you guys cover SpaceX so much? And, for me, it's very, very simple. It's the number one stock. It's only been around for a month, not even a month, and it's my number one stock on the year. It's not even close. And that's obviously you know, I had my best day ever on the IPO release, but that's not even the reason, man. We've been crushing and hitting that name every single day. If you go back over to, you know, my Instagram or Twitter, you'll see some of the posts that we've had on SpaceX and some of the trades. And for those of you that have been watching, man, it's been an absolute killer of an opportunity for myself and for, you know, a lot of us around here. So that's why you always want to go back to the well if it's been working out for you. But yeah, big shout out to everybody that's here on TikTok, that's here on Instagram. We want to say thank you so much for being here with us every single day. And we will do our best to look at the chat. Unfortunately, it's 9:38 right now, and there's just a lot happening. Doesn't mean, I mean, I'm still looking at that. Someone just said Marvell's popping. I thought you said Marvell's pooping. So I was like, oh no, what is going on right now? But so there you go. Yeah, there we go. Come on, man. Let's go, Mom. My guy over here. I'm going to buy a little bit more of Nvidia because look what the heck this market is doing. And Nvidia's like, dude, man, hold my beer. Like, what's going on right now?
Pull up your quote board.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think
no, if you got a quote board, this is it's
that's
insanity.
Literally we just talked about Marvell. Yeah,
AMD's up
DRAM.
6%. Intel's up 5%. Broadcom. What are you doing, Broadcom? Figure it out. 3%.
3%. Nvidia's red.
What the heck is that, Broadcom? Broadcom. Come on, son. Broadcom, you should be at $410 already. ARM's up 9%. It's absolutely flying around. But you're right about that in NVIDIA. Like it just bounced that 202 half into 03s, but it's under VWAP. This is not looking like the strongest one. And you know, the other thing I will say to that, why cover SpaceX every single day? It does such fantastic relative volume. It's just such a big name, and it does a lot of volume. It's no longer the biggest volume notionally every single day. It's gotten past, but it's done $5 million to start. So it's going to be a day trading vehicle. There's pretty much no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I'm a little surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised by Broadcom here. All these other names that are flying, these are the dudes that got the deal. They bounced off the 200 period. Why are we so weak? Probably the same reason why it's memory back in and Broadcom, NVIDIA back out. So another bounce here off the 202 in NVIDIA, but this sucker is just continuously making lower highs. So I'm going to be scalping out into the volume weighted average price because this seems like, despite the market absolutely blasting, somehow I'm against the trend in the biggest and the bad. Well, I can't call it the biggest and the baddest anymore. We used to, but not really.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the biggest, but it's definitely not the baddest.
I just can't say and the baddest.
Yeah, well, it actually, I mean, it depends on how you phrase bad. It's definitely trading bad. But yeah, there it is right here. Good day yesterday. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain too much about NVIDIA, but today it's worth complaining about because it's right back into our 202 level. And sure, we got one out up there. It's silly. We should have had two, but we don't. So now we'll just sit here. It looks like we'll lose $1 on this one as it's going to break below 202. So here we go on that, man. Not a lot of love here for NVIDIA today. It is all about the other names, right? I mean, NVIDIA started the rally. Looks like they're going to end it here on a downside as NVIDIA not like the rest. DRAM, I mean, I think this is where we want to look. Instead of buying the dip here, and look, it's not like I'm buying the dip in NVIDIA. It's at the level that we talked about. It just came in a little quicker than we had thought. DRAM right there, a look, that's for sure. So if that comes back, there's the 25 period. There's your $65 mark as well. So we're coming back into a level that maybe we should have taken this break anyways. If you can get some love back into this name here, DRAM, down to $65 could be something to look at. And I had written down on this one much lower. At the time, it was 61.50, where the 200 period was right down into here. That's 7:45 when we started to write this note down. And then now it's at 63.50. So if we're going to get excited about it, maybe let's let it settle down, see if it does have a move back in. That is DRAM right now trying to get into some levels where maybe it's a buy. And, Neil just showed the sort of the quote board there. And many of these names, man, up that 7-8%. So is it going to be faded, or are we going to continue with a little bit of an upside push here in the market? And yeah, definitely being led by this space right here, right now, as we go.
Speaking of space, it just bounced off the LOD again. So 149 change, we'll call it 149 quarter or so, and then right back into the top. We're able to play the range. I didn't reload the last quarter. I just got out the last quarter when it broke. So I want it underneath VWAP, not above. It's above the volume weighted average price, so I don't want short unless it's 153. That's going to be my rule. I actually even put down VWAP on the chart. On the note this morning that it was a good VWAP short in the afternoon. Like that was where you were playing it outside of the open range. So as long as it's over, then I wait for 153. This might be a rebound day in SpaceX. Where we didn't talk, and this is my bad, yesterday I really, really liked silver short. Someone asked me in the chat what I thought about it, and I said not short today. It's super strong. I think it's made a pretty good bottom in here until it gets to like 56. It was a good short for about an hour in the morning yesterday, and then ever since then, it's been on an absolute tear. Oil's down at the lows. That's not going to help it. But I think right now it's looking like a fail on Nvidia at that 202 level. Again, there were a couple of bounces that got into 203, but there was no follow through. So next stop, 200, I suppose. So I got to sit it out until we start closing above 02 or get down to 200 and then wait for the next opportunity on SpaceX as well. But we're looking at all the same names. Meanwhile, I look over and I see in the chat that SDOT, people are looking at Light. That's a good company. And that reminded me, I completely forgot about GLW went all the way to 202.
Yeah, I love that.
Now you can write long down on something at a price level, and then it already goes from like 191 to 202. That's a $10 move. Yeah, I do not like what it just did at the open. That is a nasty reversal candle off the open and a lower high. So suffice to say, I'm going to wait till about 10 o'clock on GLW, because as far as I'm concerned, it already made the $10 move, and now you're just looking for a secondary B play at this point. So Nvidia, maybe it gets back above 200 here, or 202. It's making an effort to turn this into a bottoming tail wick. And if this ends up like a bottom wick out, then I'll get back in above 02.
Yeah, I'm already in above that 02 marker right now, but yeah, it might not be right. We'll just in and out real quick right there as it failed again. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll be able to find some winning trades for you at some point here. But yeah, Nvidia, still waiting for that. I still like it. We'll hold on to a little bit here at 202, but yeah, not worth holding on to the bag there as we tried it a couple times there. Not a good look there so far for Nvidia into the day. But hey, man, day's pretty young. I still want to take it. So we just got to wait for it to get going again. Sometimes it does take just a wee bit of a minute right there. Palantir still down 4%. I mean, we talked about that earlier today as well. I didn't like the software space, and yeah, Palantir gets hit on that, and yeah, downside now for PLTR. Looks like it wants to still keep on going lower, but underneath the 50 period right there, maybe this 126.50 can get absorbed just a little bit. Eli Lilly, I saw, came up on sort of a scanner there. I'm not really sure why. Oh yeah, back into VWAP, so there it goes. Nice run up today for Eli Lilly, approaching again near those all-time highs of 1240 or so, but pulling back just a little bit there is Eli Lilly today, only up 0.43 right now as well. We do have a super chat there, BJDX. Feedback, short squeeze potential, 920%. We don't have, that's not really a halter there today yet. LASC, that's, yeah, I'm just trying to find out if there's some of these names that have halted early. MFP, maybe we've looked at in the past before. LRCC, no, that's nothing. Here's VRAX. VRAX halts actually as well, right off the open, it looks like there. 933 reopens back up at 936. VRAX right now trying to get going back there to the upside. So there's another name, and then you wanted to look at Blue
Jay's got almost no volume on it.
DX. Oh yeah, Blue Jay Diagnostics. Yeah, this was a name that was pumping around last week a little bit there. So
only a million float. I'm looking to see, is there a story on it today? There's not a story on this since the end of last month, and it's completely sideways on a gap of 13. So yeah, it's got a short float on it. I'm assuming you're talking about the borrowing fees are expensive. I don't know, maybe it's made a bit of a bottom, but there's no volume on this today. What's going to get it going, I think, is a real question. There's other small cappers which are actually moving around, which could be a little bit more interesting. So yeah, again, appreciate the super chat. I'm not necessarily seeing it. Maybe there's a story I'm missing on that stock. Don't claim to be perfect. Dara has a perfect memory. What do you have for us at desk?
Blue Jay Diagnostics, nothing, but I have LASR. There's no volume really on this, so I waited a while to mention anything. I just kind of wanted to see, but nice pop. It's about $6 or so up from the open. LaserWars.net reporting that the U.S. military has awarded this LASR company, which is called nLight, I guess some kind of contract here to build cruise missile killing high energy laser weapons for the Golden Dome. So Golden Dome contract here for LASR. I'm also seeing some people in the chat talk about Oracle to the upside, and I have no problem talking about Oracle being to the upside. There was one catalyst on this. It's kind of a nothing burger. Came out at 9 a.m. I guess this International Motorsports association here. They made this new lab, and Oracle is a founding partner. That is not much of a story here, but ORCL is up significantly from the open, so I wanted to mention that. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Adara. We're back into the same name again. That's going to be Nvidia. It's one of the #1 names on my list, so we're going to watch out for that. It does look like a bottom take is better, but if that can come through, we'll have to wait to see. I still like SMCI down here near $28, but it doesn't really have the juice under it today. That was my #1 trade idea there today was on some SMCI, but nothing going on there right now on SMCI. We're back into Nvidia, of course, and then SPCX. I mean, I talked about it sort of being a nothing burger today. It hasn't done much there, but it is at the lows and looking to break lower here through 149. They're pretty good shorts to be had at 151 and 150.50. So, a move back up there on SpaceX, I could find myself getting into the short if possible there for SPCX. So maybe something to play off of as, the market. I don't know, man. Maybe we can short it. It's ahead of 30,000 right there. I know we're long Nvidia. I don't want to be short the market and long Nvidia, but that's a nice little move there. And Marvell pulling back to VWAP as well, apparently hitting the scanner. So, yeah, man, good run-ups for many of these names early, but there's the give up right now as we go back into it. And Neil and I both, again,
Bloom is also
holding on to Nvidia here.
Yeah, and I'll be mad because I actually didn't get the reload in SpaceX when it took out VWAP. Nasty candle, completely engulfing on that last candle on SpaceX and now breaking lower. So it's under VWAP, means every single pop, anytime it bounces, you get a green candle, I'm going to look to enter. I had my stop in, it triggered, I wanted to get back in lower, but now this is absolutely flushing, so another flush day for them. Bloom Energy, well, I guess the short sellers are winning off of the open. Maybe they're still going to have a little bit more juice. I think you got to give it the 2 or 3 day rule. Again, I didn't read the short seller report. I think oftentimes, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Oftentimes the price action doesn't lie in the first couple of days, but they are selling it off here at the open.
I was going to say, I think the way that Bloom denied this is also really key. So they said that they're not dependent on China supply, not that they don't have any China supply. And then that I think is really important because you guys know me, I'm always looking for the true story here. The wording of that denial.
Okay.
I think a way that you could also look at that is if you find anybody if you find a related power name that's to the downside maybe on Bloom when you get a report like this, it's sometimes easier to go long the sympathy play. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on there. So, if you catch a dip in a related name, it could be a little bit better to go. Lunch 911 caught Tesla up. Thank you, everyone. We haven't been talking too much about Tesla recently. And I don't know that I love this sucker until we get back above 420. It's now back into the red. It had a good move off of the open, but that looks like a pretty hefty fail of a breakout here. So maybe a retest of 390s in play. Yikes. It's already come back in. Hope we bank that profit because the market's still holding higher and Tesla just went into the red after a little bit of a jaunt at the open. Be careful of those opening wicks. They can absolutely psych you out. Right? Look at that crazy little bounce and all it's doing is chopping everybody up in the same range. It's a bad stock, man. Tesla's been a bad stock.
Tesla hasn't been the greatest right there. We'll head to fruit salad winners right there as we take finally a little bit out here on Marvell. It's easy to celebrate. We did this fruit salad. Good watermelon, good grapes today from the caterer, so we say thank you to that. But yeah, just right back up into two. We took some 202 16s there, which is only 20 cents, but here we go. There's some 12K, here we go. Now we're starting to get back to the upside. Let's go Nvidia, man. We stick to our guns here, stick with this name. Let's see what winds up happening now with NVDA. Maybe it can get back to the yes. Let's go. So we take a little bit of a hit early there on Nvidia, but here it goes, man. Right back to the upside. We just got the 1 unit on now. We took a hit on about 1.5, maybe 2 units. So we need this to mature up just a little bit here. As there it goes right now, 60 cents in the money for Nvidia. Bye-bye. Let's see how high we can fly on that one right now. And again, we wrote down 202. It did go against us a little bit, but we didn't get out of it all. We bought some more on the dip. So let's now wait to see what winds up happening here with NVDA. SpaceX back up to 149 and change. Another name running up. And, I do know that we talk a lot about the same names, but like I said, man, you play where the bread is buttered. There goes SoFi right now up 2.5%. So yeah, man, this name coming back from the dead. we already, Adara sort of, I don't know, I think we already got to the super chat, but thank you so much for Oracle. And yeah, it is making.
Did we?
Well, Adara talked about it. I don't know. SoFi now up to 1823. I mean, we can look at it. I love Oracle because of the level that we just got to there. Not love it enough to buy any of it, but, right back there into these levels. And we've seen Oracle make this dip. So, my thoughts on a bounce, looks like a little bit of a relief rally there today. As we have mentioned already, DRAM, a lot of the names that are involved in the data center are popping a little bit there today. Sans, my guy NVIDIA over here. But, that's a good name, and Oracle should be able to work when the rest of the players come out to play, and today they are. So nice move there for Oracle, up 5%. If you're asking my thoughts on it, I just gave them to you, but I don't really like the long. It was 9 straight down days. It looks like it's even more than that. And this was just at 250 back June 1st. So you're giving it 6 weeks and it's lost $120, man. I mean, that's a rough ride, losing 50% of its value roughly in just 6 weeks. So yeah, Oracle probably on a depressed valuation. I like it for that reason, but I don't necessarily think it's the best place to swim. And, Qualcomm, a name that I recently bought, kind of like them at these levels as well. And they've been getting hit just up, not as much, but from 250 down to 180, 185. The important thing about Qualcomm and why I like it is we're still above the 200 period moving average. So that gives it a little bit of room to grow to the upside there off of Qualcomm. NVIDIA just still 202.40. You know what? We still got a piece on.
It is
here.
Rejecting on the lower high.
Yeah, so I'm going to get another piece out here at 204.40, 202.40. And then just let's see if this one can get up into 203. That's where my next offer is.
Yeah, VWAP sits right at 203, but it just lost that $0.50, so it's coming right back in. I just got out 2/3 myself, because I'm not really loving the price action I'm seeing in it. One note, and I want to try to get over to Cerebras. We talk about that Tesla, that engulfing candle in Tesla to the downside. Well, there's one to the upside. The entire opening or the entire pre-market range just got made up on one bounce here in CBRS. So I know we liked 185 for a key price level. Yeah, well, you're not getting 185 anymore. But that kind of a candle, that turns into a buy the dip into VWAP. So just adjust up and follow the trend. The trend's higher. Next available dip, looking for the 190 level. Might park myself just so I have a little something if we get back in down there. 7% to the upside. Obviously, this has not been a very good IPO for them. But hey, it's made a bottom. You made a higher low yesterday. It's kind of taking the stairs to the upside. Kind of hoping it does a false break of the high and pulls back to pick us up at VWAP, because the Qs are absolutely spitting hot fire. 1.5%.
Yes.
The calm before the SK Hynix storm, I feel like.
Yeah, it might be right there.
We'll see, because I actually think, it doesn't really matter. DRAM is all green candles on the 15-minute chart all morning long. A little bit of exuberance coming into tomorrow.
There's a lot of money in this market on the sidelines, and it's getting put to work a little bit here today. Yeah, man, just looking ahead now. There goes AMD, and I'm gonna I think I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and get out of AMD here today. I still have shares. I think we're sub $100, man, on AMD right now, and this name is at 550. So we've seen this name run up, and it's just been an absolute monster. And getting back into it today, I don't know. It's like you look down and you see some of these gains, and I know it's polarizing sometimes because stocks aren't supposed to really move the way these names have moved. But yeah, AMD. I have way more of Nvidia, and I just when you look at the two different names, it's one is absolute moonshot, and the other one is kind of on the struggle bus right now. But AMD, maybe we should do the other way around and get out of Nvidia and buy more AMD. But a good little level there. We've only seen a few days where we've ticked higher than where we are right now on advanced micro devices into 580. But give it another 7% today, and it is a wowie wooey on that one. And as we talk about Nvidia and AMD, I get more Nvidia down here at 202. And here comes the fade again. So, it was a good run up there. We were able to get out. Well, we'll reload a little bit. We don't have as many shares as we did initially on this reload, but yeah, a little bit of a fail there for NVDA and SpaceX. As I said earlier, I didn't get a feel for it today. We didn't write anything down, but it's back up to VWAP there after making, again, another low at that 148.50 mark, man. I mean, yesterday we had a $6 winner, I think, on this one, and we shorted 150s up into here. We were short yesterday around this time, I guess, and we brought it all the way back in. So there is a lot of opportunity here for SpaceX. So let's just get ready to rock and roll on that one, SPCX.
We got a halt here on that VRAX, now 300%. So we were kind of joking around about how there haven't been too many of these 100% movers holding on to those gains. The tap is flat, so 1262 theoretical auction price. It's indicating an open pretty much where it was. And thank you to Tisha for pointing this, not just pointing it out now with the super chat, but pointing it out earlier as well.
Wowie wooey. Yeah, there we go. You're welcome, SEK over there. Yeah, look, man, trying to add as much fun. Yeah, trying to add as much fun to the show as possible. Today's been a rough day for trade, I think. But it's not that bad. Wish we were just long the whole index here, including our friend DRAM. As I just sitting here fighting Nvidia, which is not going to be right. We have an exit to come on that one at the day's low. But yeah, and it's just. The reason why it's a little disappointing, what's up, Randy, is that DRAM came right into VWAP, and we are looking at it, staring at it right there at 65, and didn't pull said trigger, and instead bought more of the, brutal losing name today in NVDA. Because Randy's here, we can have a look at Rivian back upsides. We say, yeah, buddy, for Rivian, as we floss that up another 4% there for RIVN today. Randy called this move, and again, really appreciate guys sort of sticking their neck out and making some calls. And you did that, Randy, and you said, get lower, Rivian. We like it lower. So there was a dip buy there into VWAP, and good little opportunity to take that long. And now you're rewarded today, Randy, off 15.50, maybe 16, maybe 16.50. At the end of the day, you're up $1 into 17.50. Let's see what happens here with RIVN. Trying to get back upside there as we wait for our R2 Rezo to come through. But yeah, there goes NVIDIA back down into the lows of the day once again, man. Bad trading today on NVDA.
Yeah, I'm not letting it break any of those lows. We've got a couple of bounces that's made it a little bit better than it probably should have been because it's just fighting the trend here. And then I go back over, I look at the names. We did trade SpaceX to the short side, but I'm not really seeing a great short in it again yet. So I don't mind going back to what worked early. But we're going to go to a dare for happening now in numbers, and I'm reminding myself that, hey, I had GLW that I wanted a long in today, so we're going to have to try to find that when we come back from Adara.
It's time for numbers, guys. Existing home sales in 5 seconds, 4.2 million. Forecast, 4.17 million was the prior print here. We get 4.09 million, so it's going to be a little bit lower than the forecast and also below the prior print. Now, as it is below the prior print, that means we get a negative existing home sales change number. We were expecting 1% here for that existing home sales change, comes in at negative 2.4%. Nasdaq still hanging out here around highs, and this is a great look. I mean, we opened here around highs, a little bit of a gap up, and then just continuing to push higher here for the Nasdaq SPY. Looking pretty similar, though not as strong, I think, when you compare it directly to the Nasdaq in just terms of how it looks. Keep an eye on USO as well. USO just pushing lower here. We know that this was a name that was absolutely in focus yesterday as we had more tensions heating back up, unfortunately, between the US and Iran. Let's talk about MU. Micron, one of many memory names that has been pretty strong today and that are going to be in focus out of that SK Hynix IPO. Micron's up 8%. SanDisk up about 7%, and Micron, as mentioned earlier, making a whole bunch of updates to its U.S. investment plans. They apparently started laying concrete for their New York facility, which they expect to create 50,000 jobs. Idaho, they're expecting some more updates for that in 2027, I believe. And Micron also, in general, just investing over $250 billion here on U.S. manufacturing. Costco also, someone in the chat, I believe Sean Carter, so shout out to Jay-Z, mentioned what's going on with Costco. COST, not bad volume and actually a catalyst here. So yesterday, after the bell, they reported their June sales. These were up 10.6% year over year. Not a bad look here, but JP Morgan, while maintaining overweight in Costco, they lowered the price target. So I guess market not really receiving these June sales numbers well for COST. But it doesn't cost you anything to like or subscribe. So join us here every single day as we send you back over to the guys.
I like that one. It just costs you a little bit of cash to get involved with Costco. And I think that's a nice name there, hovering around that $1,000 mark, can dip by into that 920. We'll see what happens there with Costco. But hey, man, it's volatility, and we've been talking about that for a minute. Volatility is what gives you the big trades, the big moves, more setups, more momentum. And of course, we partnered with Trade the Pool. This is an offer that no broker is giving to you right now. Trade the Pool comes in, and instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can now access, of course, firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing their risk. No more fear of blowing up your own personal account. No more fear of moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your savings. This is called limited risk trading, and it is available at Trade the Pool. Take advantage of this volatility without risking that capital at tradethepool.com. Go have a look, see if they have anything interesting to offer you and your trading style. It's tradethepool.com. Scan that QR code, check the link in description, and do not go long Nvidia like we've been doing here today, as that is down now to 201 as we finally take that out. And, we were able to get a little bit of a bid there here as we go. And I'm pretty sure Adair is going to talk about Meta because Meta releasing AI tools right now for Meta, now up 1%. Well, not up 1%, only down 1% after being down 4%. Adair, what's the news on Meta?
Meta, for the first time ever, developing unveiling here a paid AI developer model for the first time. Again, Meta's first ever paid AI developer model. According to CEO Mark Zuckerberg, this updated Muse Spark 1.1 actually outperforms tools from rival Google Gemini. So again, first ever paid AI developer model that apparently outperforms product from Google. GeoOGL is dropping on this, guys. Back to you.
Apparently outperforms.
Alphabet's
it
dropping.
Doesn't outperform. Alphabet's doing.
Yeah, that kind of makes me want to. Well, Alphabet's already looking weak. If Alphabet had been strong going into that, I probably would have liked to try to buy the dip, but it's not. It's looking pretty weak in there. Meta, whatever. If it doesn't break and hold over 600, we've kind of been talking about that number. Where that's been the wall, and it was the wall yesterday, or it was the floor yesterday, and now it's a bit of a wall. So if it gets above 600 and can sustain that after the news and after things settle down, fair enough. Then I'll like it a little bit more. SpaceX is still above VWAP, so I don't really see a re-entry into the short there until it gets up to 153. GLW, Corning is now gone. Another fresh high here for Corning. So now that we're finished with the fail, unless we get back to 202 or get to 200 on Nvidia, I want to look for GLW. Corning off of the volume weighted average price, 10% today. What do you do with some of these? 10% there, 10% in ARM. I think Marvell's probably the same thing. I want to say
the answer what you should do is buy Corning at
wait a minute. No. Okay, that's actually off the highs a little bit. So this one's pulling back a little bit more than some of the strongest names more. But it's all about the chips and not just the memory names. There are some other names taking us up to this 2% threshold in the Nasdaq, which does seem like it's going to come into play today at that 30,000. I feel like that's the place you might look for maybe an entry if you're looking reversions or something into the short side. Let the Nasdaq at least test some of those earlier week highs because there's nothing really stopping it.
I don't want to always look at Amazon or PayPal.
I think we're going back to Adair.
Yeah, we can go back to Adair. Let's do it.
Yeah, believe it or not, guys, DJT actually on the move to the upside with a catalyst. Citrini, again, this is the research that brought us that research note going back about SaaS a couple months ago now. Citrini noting tailwinds here for DJT, saying that Trump's media merger here with TAE is going to be signaling political backing for nuclear infusion venture. So I would say this note is maybe more about nuclear infusion, but also, I guess, a good look for DJT. Volume on this, not bad. It's about 1.2 million shares in the day so far. Back to you.
VRAX there halted a couple times, and now it's back down to $11 as this is a runner for sure today, up 252%. VRAX right now starting to kick around a bit. So let's wait to see what winds up happening there. Bouncing off of that's the 50-period moving average. VWAP down here at 9 right now for VRAX. So I think as long as some of these small cap names stay above $9, above the VWAP, which would be above $9, still the long executing probably okay right now for VRAX. So, another looker there for the big runners. And we want to thank Tisha and everybody in the chat for bringing VRAX to our attention earlier today. Probably should be trading some more small caps. That's a nice move up to $11, $12, $13 right now for VRAX. Definitely worth a look there. JP Morgan coming next week, man, in 333. So just having a look at this one. I think it was the 14th or so. But there goes JP Morgan upside, up that 1% as it's NASDAQ, it's ES. NASDAQ up 1.4 right now. ES up up 0.4. And many names moving around. I mean, we've looked at only a few over here, and we promise you we'll find some.
That DJT
yeah, we'll find some winners.
No
Yeah, I'm not doing anything with DJT.
I think it's a short because that's a story that makes more sense for other fission names, not DJT. So why would it?
I don't know. DJT, as soon as I hear that, it's like, okay, some manipulation there. Producer manufacturing, for sure. I mean, you know, I'm always talking about this. So if you're on the show and you sort of listen to some of the things that we've been talking about, buying dips in this space is really what's been focused on. And today you're getting another move higher here. Caterpillar, Lam, AMAT, GV. We talked about IREN and CEG as well on the power side of those plays. Financials, big day again for them today. We just looked at JP Morgan, American Express up 1%, Morgan Stanley up 2% as that's going higher. JP Morgan, I like Citigroup as one of the better names to look at there. Charles Schwab again as well, very similar to the Robin Hoods of the world and the SoFi's there as we talk some broker names coming through there. And then unfortunately, Randy's been getting us the coffee, so we really appreciate that. But unfortunately for his XOM position right now, down 2% as, you were surprised. I was surprised when you mentioned that oil was just going to the downside. There's Oxy, there's all these names right here. So some good value to be picked up for sure in the oil space. And, get maybe some more Exxon in your account, it being now down 2% today. Here's XOM. And there was that 50 period, 200 period moving average, I believe, on XOM that's going to come into play there. And that's exactly where it bounced off of in and around 136. So if we just give this a second to load up here, we'll get that 200 period. There it is. So looking like another good dip buy opportunity potentially lining up here for ExxonMobil. If you believe it's all fugazi, that, this back and forth, we'll bomb them, we won't bomb them, we'll open up the straight, we won't open up the straight. Eventually, I think XOM is a name that, on the dividend and, even green energy as well. They're not just all, pure, combustible. So we'll wait to see what winds up happening with XOM. But here comes Nvidia, man. It's a good thing we got out of this one. This is at 200 right now and breaking lower. Wondering if I'm punching short here on 200.
Well, it looks like it wants to retest it for sure. And Nvidia, I just go back to the DJT. It's actually got even resistance here, 8 3/4 into 9. Bit of a head and shoulders look as well. So it spikes on that news right into some resistance with a bit of a topping tail. So just grab the 70, stop at the high. VWAP retrace is down to about 858, but I actually like 850 for the prior high as well. So I got my bids down into that level, and maybe DJT does that thing where it's not to bag on it. It's just that usually when you get a story that doesn't seem that fundamentally big for it, it gets like an algo buy or whoever buys it up, and it's usually pretty good to sell into it. Speaking of things that are pretty good to sell into, I wouldn't say that about that Rivian move. Wow, Rivian. So it's at that $18 level. This also has a head and shoulder-ish look if you get to like 18.5. It's not really a pure head and shoulder, but at least it is a big resistance level if this gets to 18.5. I wouldn't think reversion or a key until you break out the 18 and start pressing into the quarters and maybe the halves. That is not the same thing as DJT randomly going up on a headline. I think Rivian's got some juice behind it. Let's be real. It's just a different story. So here comes VWAP here on DJT. If we get the fill at 58, then we'll be at a 3/4 of it, and then I'll look for the 850. Gonna move the stop to break even because it's already pulled into VWAP at this point.
Okay, good luck on DJT. Yeah, there goes Nvidia through 200 now. I'm just trying to look at some more charts here, and I'm not really. This is just a 5-minute chart. I was just so mad at myself that we didn't reverse this at 202.50, man. We kept on trying to hold out that. We saw the Nasdaq running. We saw, some of these other names, AMD, and everything really starting to take off to the upside there. This little break of VWAP, this little break here of your 200 period moving average, the break of 202.50, there's the break of 202. There was so many reasons if you zoom out as to why this name was not a long and indeed a short, especially after that aggressive move off the open, man. And, should have been able to catch that. Now down 2% for Nvidia. Damn it, man. Should have been better have done better on that one, except for, still trying to chase it to the downside. So yeah, not good right there. Shout out to D Westermeyer and everybody that's here with us, man. Put whatever names in the chat. Like Elf is a good one. What's up to Daisy Boy? Anybody that's on TikTok, this is what we call the consolidated feed. So, everything that you're watching on, whether or not it be Twitch, TikTok, anything here, especially on YouTube. I mean, that's what all these little YouTube signs are on there. So get it going out. Will NVIDIA reverse? Doesn't look like it today. Thank you for that. You are still a superstar. Thank you, Big Scalp, for that. Look, man, I mean, we know where our bread is buttered around here, and it's been a good move on SpaceX and good move on Nvidia. And yeah, man, you're gonna be wrong every once in a while. Yo, what's up? There's Leanne from TikTok, always trying to shout out all of our TikToks. LIT Lumentum, yeah, that was brought up earlier today as well. Wow, Open Door there from No Respect, that's up 9%. Shout out to you guys. Yo, what's up? There's Trader TV Live is in the building. We just saw them there on TikTok, so we say hi to Trader TV Live. Hey, Trader TV Live, you have the same name as us. So we want to say thank you to Bravely and everybody over there on Trader TV. Big thank you. There's Eats Meast West. Again, another big follower for us on TikTok. And because you're always here, man, you just said IREN in the chat. Yeah, they're running for the gates on this one, as that's now down into $43. Still up on the day, but yeah, kicked downside, now down $2 there on IREN. But yeah, again, thanks for everybody for keep on watching there. TMAT, Tic Tac, and D7 also on the chat for TikTok as well. So yeah, man, just a big shout out to everybody watching here worldwide.
Yeah, and the TMAC actually mentioning McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Everybody keeps asking when is Wendy's gonna bounce? Well, because Wendy's was a squeeze play. Everyone heard of GLPs? Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been a good look at all. Even McDonald's is bad. If McDonald's isn't good, then Wendy's, how's Wendy's supposed to be any good? That just lost a 50 period. There might be something on this stock at some point. But it doesn't seem like yet, because the trend is still your friend, and it is very much to the downside. All right, I said we would maybe get this one all out at break even. We got the view up on DJT, but no push through just yet. If it puts in a lower high, there could be a bit of a reshort there. But I might just get out and try to get back in for the full retracement play. If you're looking over what's happening in oil again, market just pulling back. I looked over, I'm like, did anything happen in oil? Will the Nasdaq pull back off the highs? Nope. We're still just drifting lower and lower. So at any moment, if we get like a headline, a negative headline, then for obviously what's going on in Iran, you get any kind of a spike in USO, and it's a big-time trend break. So this is one that you got to keep your ear to the ground, but I'm more interested in 15 minutes in Boyle because you're going to get nat gas. East meets Westy Bestie. Howdy. Little howdy action. All right, well, good to see that y'all are doing well. We'll put a little drawl in there for you. Let us know where you're from. That's one thing we don't see enough. If you're in TikTok right now, shout us out in the chat. Just tell us where you're watching from. We get viewers from all over the place. We appreciate where you're seeing us, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, wherever you're going to be able to find us out there on X as well. Let us know where you're watching from. I always love to see where we get those different viewers. You could be in the southern states, which we all love there. As Sweden, Boston, Maryland, Clearwater, Florida. Shout out to Clearwater, Florida. I'm there every single year, and I will continue to do so as long as the Blue Jays exist. And well, I mean, if they have spring training down there, I'm always going to be down there. So shout out to Clearwater.
Yeah, shout out.
Birmingham, Estonia. I saw Costa Rica, Indiana, USA. That was going too fast. Brazil. There we go, Brazil. I'm trying to pick out the Portugal.
Yeah,
I'm picking out the ones that are a little more. Singapore, a little more unusual there. Melbourne, Australia. Hey. We got the Vegemite.
Melbourne over here.
We're not going to eat the Vegemite, but we got the Vegemite.
No.
It's like 5 years old. We're not touching it.
Yeah, Neil's had it before. Obi's had it before. It's a problem.
It's nasty.
Obi took it like a champ. Like, Obi handled that Vegemite challenge so well.
Yep. Thank you, Obi. Right now, I'm addicted to bad things. And right now, more NVIDIA there, just trying to, not trying to hold out for many shares right there. But yeah, I thought, maybe down into 200 might hold something. And no, it looks like we're going to go long again on this name and lose one more time. This time we're down 50 cents as there goes NVIDIA through 199, like down 2.3%. I guess the market is not having that day that it thought it was going to either. I mean, this is a complete destruction all the way back down in now. You've just fallen like huge down into the downside right now on everything, including Nvidia, including the market. But yeah, nice little downside play there in the Nasdaq, not helping out any of these names. That is for sure. TQ's having its move downside there into the 50-period moving average. So if we're going to go long something, maybe it is just the Nasdaq, as we have reason to hold it. Breaking back down breaking back down below the 200-period moving average right now, but very, very good there. Yeah, you're right, African Starfighter there. You do not see me do this very much anymore. I used to, get a little frustrated with some of the trades and, try to get right back into them and everything like that. This really isn't. It's a little bit of revenge trading, I would say, a little bit there, but I looked at Nvidia. I liked the momentum there yesterday. I do think it can catch itself a bit at some point. It's just we've been wrong on the points. Like, we're not even, getting hit that bad on it. It's just, the downside play's been there. And whenever I see this kind of play, it's like, I think there is going to be a retracement back to the upside at some point there. So now we're in the money on this so-called revenge trade, but I'm going to lighten up on this now as it gets back into 200. Maybe I'm sensing that as well, that right now, we don't need to hold out for a hero trade. If it's not working out, we could get out of it. And, right there, it goes back up into 200 and fades again. So I did put an offer at $200 change there, so into the teens, and we'll see if that can hit. We'll take 10 cents on it, and then we'll see if we can hold the rest. But yeah, right now, not a huge look at all for Nvidia, as it's just been bleeding to the downside. If there's any recovery to happen here, I think Nvidia does have that chance. I mean, it's been hit before. Like yesterday, if you bought it at 200 on that break, basically, it does come back to 196.50 and then gets going around 11.30 and closes $10 higher. So, I'm not holding out for a $10 move today or anything like that. But, I do know that the pedigree is here for Nvidia to maybe do better. And we'll see if it does do that. But another fail again at 200. So it's like it tried to go through the key level, putting us basically putting us flat, and now we'll have to wait to see holding this against us now, NVDA. But
even the DRAM just hit VWAP and is not catching a bit.
DRAM, okay.
So it's there. Like, this is, always on a pullback, going to look for something that was strong at the volume weighted average price, and you're not really seeing the buyer step in just yet. You got to look what's under the hood. Anytime you're looking at an ETF, you look under the hood. Micron faring a little bit better, so that's a little stronger at the volume weighted average price. SNDK, if we're just going through some of the names to find if there's one better, that's also holding out a bit better. So they're both holding above the volume weighted average price. So that, to me, means that DRAM is a good shot to follow suit because they're doing a little bit better. So once we get a close on this 3-minute, I'm going to take the shot here to jump in the memory chip names. Even as the Nasdaq is still 0.7%, it's still dropping here. You're kind of getting taken to the woodsheds. The small cappers might still be the place to go. And one way to find out is to go up to Adara and talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rare day where all of our featured small cap recap names actually have catalysts behind them. Let's get right into it with VRAX Biolabs, VRAX. This name has definitely traded higher and rallied in the past. Today, though, the catalyst is that its subsidiary apparently entered into an exclusive multi-country commercial supply agreement with a company called Fosun Diagnostics. Now, VRAX has a $10 million market cap and a 780,000 share float. So low float runner here, VRAX. Next up, RKTO. This one giving back a little bit of its move here, but Rocket One in focus, announcing that SpaceX AI API has been added to its AI tech stack. With RKTO, another name that I believe has rallied in the past, $25 million market cap, 21 million share float, and nearly 22% short float. Last but not least, on our watch list today was Public Power Group. RPGL, $2.5 million market cap and 1 million share float for this one, announcing that they've regained compliance with the Nasdaq listing requirements. Lots to look at in the small cap space. We've sent it back over to the guys.
Okay, yeah, lots to look at there. Yeah, that VRAX there. Thank you to Tisha bringing that up to us very early on in the day there. VRAX. Yeah, SpaceX there, not a small cap name at all. 2 trillion market cap. Maybe no longer, as there it comes right back into 148. This is a level that we had seen yesterday. We had seen this a couple times, and boom, shakalaka, what a good short that was, up at 150, 150. That's the same short we had yesterday, and we just didn't take it today, and we should have. Paid for shorts, not very expensive, but yeah, there it goes to the downside, SpaceX, and still looking like it wants to get lower, in my opinion, underneath VWAP, underneath everything. It's a downside play there for SPCX. So at least you had the short there in DJT, but the shorts are really coming in now on the Nasdaq, on everything, as we look a lot lower here today. Now, almost, still not even flat on the day, right? I mean, you're still up that 0.5%, but man, we were cruising at one point there on the Nasdaq.
I got a question for Adara, because the DJT thing is done, but I think the other side of the coin was, what was the fission name that it was like 2 days ago?
Yeah.
We had a fission name. I don't know if you remember the ticker. I'm going to try to search for it myself. Nuclear fission.
I didn't hear it then.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
everyone in the
I'll remember stuff if I hear it, but if I didn't hear it then.
Okay, so everyone in the chat, we did have a story, and there was a ticker earlier for nuclear fission that DJT, whatever. There was somebody else, and I think that's where you go to. Because I think that if the government's going to be behind it, then let's take a real company and be interested about that, and not just pumping DJT. It is what it is. It does this very often when you get stories like that, where it does the full retrace. But I want to move on to the next. It wasn't SMR. It wasn't
MEPS?
SMR.
What's that?
But while we're talking about it,
I don't know that one.
I hate doing this, but where's my flush? SMR, I feel like every single day since I got back has hit a 52-week low, and it did so. Yep, there you go. It did it on Tuesday. It did it again yesterday, and if it breaks 855, which it looks like it wants to, it's going to do it again 3 days in a row, 3 52-week lows. At some point, maybe this stock should be a short. I don't even know what to say. The stock is it's a loser right now. It's a loser. That's the word we're looking for. It's pretty simple, Neil. The stock is a loser. Should be just shorting it every time it gets to $9. $9 fade. I did take this one. Okay, I took it 2 days ago, but didn't take it the next day, and then didn't take it here. So if the market's weak, maybe just short the pops where the weakness is, which would be over here in something like an SMR.
All right, yeah, SMR, what a disaster name some of these names are. I want to thank Adara, man. I was able to get out of that at 57, but I'd bought back up. So, yeah, muted out right now on that one. Yeah, Marvell, ARM. I mean, some of these names continue to go a little bit higher. There's VRAX again, now down to 1050. So it's kind of just doing not a whole heck of a lot right now. So I would say that, actionable level there, $10 on VRAX. We'll see if it eventually gets going or not. But yeah, VRAX right here, not the greatest name to look at, I feel like, in the market. But yeah, a nice little downside push regardless to say what the market's going to do there. But $10, a good, decent look anyways. Stopping the bleeding a little bit here with NVIDIA. I mean, we're long at 199.80. We just got some out there at 199.50s. Hopefully we're able to hold out for this play one more time. And if we can get it back to the upside, we've taken out a little bit each time. Let's just do a little bit more now because, yeah, it doesn't look like we want to get too much excited here, too excited for this play on NVIDIA because it has not been a good one. But we're long just out now 20 cents, and we'll see if it does want to get that little late day run into it. Potentially that is the case. All right, Ethereum, IBIT, 62.7 right now. A quick little look at Bitcoin. I mean, we look at crypto as much as we possibly can around here when it's moving, and it hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot. This is your dollar strength right now on a 1-minute chart, and you can see it's getting a little weaker right now, which should help the Nasdaq go upside. There it is, man. NVIDIA finally back into the money, so we'll take some profits there. But yeah, there's the dollar. Let's see what winds up happening with the DXY. And then we said we'd look at Bitcoin, so let's go over there and have a quick look. We do have nat gas coming out soon. Neil's going to look at Boyle for you all and potentially put a trade on there if there's anything happening. But there's Bitcoin, just a 1-minute chart. So nice move up to 63,000, back to 62 and change. Always good to look, of course, at a daily chart there for BTC. And we see right now kind of stuck in the middle of the highs. This is not a one day. This is not a daily chart. Let's go back over there. I clicked on 1D down there. That must not be right. But yeah, so that's what I was going to say. That high of 80,000, definitely not even anywhere near. This is your 200 period moving average right now. But what I was meant to say was price-wise, we're stuck in the middle, right? You have that move to 68, that move down to 58, and right now you're at 63. So you're $5,000 off the high and $5,000 off the low right now, stuck in the middle with Bitcoin. We'll wait to see if that one gets going anytime soon. And it doesn't look like it, man. We need some catalysts there. Maybe lower rates helps Bitcoin. I don't know. But right now, the odds of a rate hike they were 25% yesterday. Let's just see what they are here today. We'll go into July, of course. Yeah, so the same thing. Not much going on there as we look at the rates. So still 26% of a chance in June, July 29th, we get the next Fed rate decision. So we are now moments away from that. We'll see if it does kick around that 25% chance. I think it should be higher. I think there is a good chance of a rate hike. But again, we're going to wait for some more numbers.
Well, especially with the ceasefire gone. Like, I mean, if that's not calming things down, like, how are they supposed to do anything?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Muffins
are good. Oh, muffins. Yeah, muffins.
Any guesses what the POTUS will tweet about today? Iran?
Yeah.
I don't know. Spain and their lack of military spending. Your guess is as good as mine. There'll probably be something. If this market goes full-blown reversal and we end up, looking pretty red. Right now, the Qs are still holding green, actually bouncing. I'm going to be looking at DRAM at VWAP again. But if we just continue trend down, we've usually been good for something positive on the back half of the day. But you can't anticipate it. If it happens, it happens, and then go from there. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's going to happen, so just keep buying until it does. No, I'm going to wait. I want this close above the volume weighted average price on DRAM. We talked about how SNDK and Micron were making a nice little bounce. So if this can follow suit, I want it above the volume weighted average price, kind of give it to the prior bar in here. So that's the next thing I'm looking at. Although we have 2 minutes until we see what happens with nat gas. And the idea for that is a few times before we left, it would just be trend down. Sometimes it would be trend up, mostly be trend down. And then at 10:30, you get a reversal of the trend and then play it to VWAP. That's now down, boils down at $25. VWAP's at 25.6, so a break of the consolidation there, and you just kind of look for that 40 cents. Strait of Hormuz threat level remains severe. Oh, there you go.
I think it's been severe for a long time there. I mean, we had a couple
tell
days.
us something we don't know.
Yeah, we had a couple of days of the ceasefire, but other than that. All right, we're heating up a little bit. Let's see if we can get a move on Nvidia, man. We've been clearing out some of this pressure at the 25 period moving average, which is right here at $200. So yeah, it was a good take for us. Our average price was in the 70s. It's getting lower now because we took that there at $199. But here it goes, man. We said there's a possibility for this name to run multiple dollars here, and here it goes. Right now, Nvidia catching that bid that we were all hoping for. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't. But that down there on the futures, man, we looked at it and said maybe it's time to get long the TQs, but didn't do it. There it goes, upside. So that's helping, obviously, this market get back to Greensville. I should have just, honestly, stuck with what I'd thought about, and that was DRAM, man. And I don't know if you guys can rewind or whatever, but, when we talked about DRAM earlier, I said the 200 period moving average would be where we're looking, and that just came in there at 64.30. So let's pay attention if it does hit again on that one. And I didn't even, unfortunately, I got to set this up as sort of a new scanner. It's a relatively new name that I got to put on the board. So right there, DRAM down at the 200 period moving average. We mentioned it earlier, didn't take advantage of it, and there it goes, DRAM right into there. So, a big shout out again to everybody watching us. There's T-Man TikTok is in right there. Is that what it is? T-Man at TikTok. So what's up, T-Man? More often than not, I know what you're referring to, but thank you so much for all of that. Candle stocks, Jack of Art there. You like pooping, not a great one there. What's up, Jack of Art, man? I saw you there yesterday. Shout out to you. I think we have a lot of like there. Dell, yeah, okay, we can definitely have a look there. Look, Qualcomm, finally a name that I most recently bought. I hope that's still doing well. Moon time right now for Nvidia as that's trying to go back up there to the upside. Gary talking about Nvidia 205 call. What's up, Long Brady over there? Hi to you as well. And Jack is talking as well on the chat. So we want to say a big shout out to all of y'all. And yeah, Nvidia just did have a problem breaking through, but we got another out there, I believe. Yes, we did. We took that right there. $200, sorry. I wish 202. $200.25 there for a 50-cent win there on NVDA. There we go. Okay, good. You've got the DRAM long. I like that trade.
Yeah, it's at VWAP here, and it's already starting to lose that volume weighted price. I said if we close above VWAP, we're going to take it. By the way, Boyle, there was just a build on that gas, and it doesn't break to 25.2. It's a reversion play. I had my stop order just a couple of seconds before, and I just canceled it because we end up breaking lower. I don't mind taking this like later, like allow it to give a couple of candles. If it holds back underneath the low, play the reversion sort of after the 1030 number instead of on it, because you're putting in a nice bottoming tail wick. So that could happen on this 3 minute. But just wanted to make sure it was a build. It was on my ear, and I was kind of paying attention to Sean there. I didn't see how big of a build, but the first action was to the downside. It is starting to come back in now, and I do still like that reversion over there on Boyle.
Yeah, it was 61 billion versus 60.
Billion.
Yeah, 61 versus 60 billion.
Not even
right
that.
there. No, nothing going on. Tesla, 10:30 a.m. right now. We look at Tesla, and it's not doing anything. It's literally right where it opened. I mean, I don't know if literally is the right word there, but yeah, 294, 294, 293. So just dancing around. It did have a big move up into 400. It stopped at 398, but Tesla now coming back in, now down that 0.1% as the market retracing back again. So we've got two longs again on, man. We've got DRAM over there. We've got Nvidia over here. And
so every long's been a loser, every short's been a winner.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. It's been a tough day today. But there it is, man, 200. This is why we got out, man. We got out some more at 200. We got out some more at $200.25. But yeah, Nvidia coming right back in at some point there. And yeah, today the shorts have been printing. I still like that TQQ level down here somewhere. So we'll see if that does come into play at some point. But right now it's Nvidia downside. But we're fine. We're just long right here right now. We might get a little bit of a bid coming through. That Bloom Energy was a story that we had earlier today. And some of you in the chat definitely liked what we were throwing down. And but since then, man, it's been 275 down into 260 here as the short sellers come forward. And whether or not you believe the story, how dependent they are or are not on China, Bloom Energy definitely moving around on some of that report from 350 down to 250. Not a great couple weeks there for Bloom coming through again. Oh, in the background is freaking out right now. Don't look back or anything. There it is. It's all fixed now. Our screen has been disabled in the back. But okay, here we go, man. It's Nvidia time. Another move higher. Let's see if we get some more out right now on NVDA. Back up there to $2. We're 40 cents in the money. Probably should be in AMD, as that name has been the rocket ship today as well, taking out new day's high on Advanced Micro. Wow.
That ARM, Marvell.
It actually looks pretty cool as a black screen back there. 547, yeah, ARM, Marvell, SOXL, all those names going there. Qualcomm, I hope, for Qualcomm anyways. Corning was a good one there. 547, look at that, VWAP, right back in. Hey, Ram, right back in there into 547. Coming back up $10 now is AMD. What a great name that's been.
Yeah, an unbelievable name. Broadcom's actually getting back into the green. That's actually looking a little bit good, too, off of the lows. Still 1%, but it went all the way into the red, like just barely into the red over there on Qualcomm. I did say I would possibly take another shot at a lower high on DJT. So it's been literally, DRAM hasn't come out yet, but I mean, the shorts have worked, whether it was DJT or whether it was early on in SpaceX. So I want to maybe go back to one of those well. So lower high here on DJT. If it loses VWAP, that gives another potential scalp trade. There was that fission story, which I didn't particularly think was all that great for them. So I'm going to stick with that idea. DRAM's just kind of hanging around VWAP. It did make that reversion off the low, broke the trend, and now we're just looking for a press back into the high. So I have a 60, just above 65 offer, then 65 quarter, and then look for the high of the day at 66. USO still a bit of a nothing burger. And Boyle, it doesn't look like, with that build, again, you can favor a direction. Like I don't like even playing fundamentally off of the number. I just want to find a reversion in Boyle, and it did, and it just continued the trend down. You could play this. I've seen people do this in either way, where they just take the break of the consolidation one way or the other. With us, we kind of have to pick not have to, but with the way our stops are set, like you're picking a direction and firing that one. So I decided to fire the long order, which it's not going to go. So Boyle's still in a tremendous downtrend. I'm not touching it at all until it makes a trend line break, which is no time soon. So just DRAM, waiting on DJT. Might be able to find a short somewhere else, but nothing's really setting up for me. We had SLV yesterday. And today, with the market early on booming, this is still holding above VWAP, still holding the uptrend. I didn't like it until we got closer to 56, if not at least 55. So I'll put that on the back burner. Very strong day, or recovery day for the metals, with oil back down, silver and gold heading back into the upside. So yeah, we're just counting on DRAM to show the strength that it did earlier this morning and get back into some of those highs. Respect the fact that 66 is resistance, but if we get up there, we'll take our profits.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go find out there with the trades we've been putting on today. We won't be on this list, but I say it's still early. Let's go find out who's making the money today or yesterday here at Real Trading. And you could see this is, again, the problem with Blue Ocean is it's not last night, it's 2 nights before. So Blue Ocean right there, 16,000. This is just, Blue Ocean is actually classified as just after hours trading on, it could be Blue Ocean, it could be Moon. There's a few other gateways that we have that can execute against some of these trades. So, and then it was a pretty light day yesterday. It looks like Canada, Nasdaq, the best trader around here. And again, it's nothing to do with us. This is Real Trading that has over, I think it's 2,000 and change live traders right now. So Canada, Nasdaq, Canada, again, we say shout out to Canada. Let's go, man. 50 cents back into the money on Nvidia. Hey, maybe we can get positive on Nvidia. Let's see what winds up happening. Amex, Nasdaq, New York. There's more Blue Ocean. So some good trading there on Blue Ocean over the last little while. So, a shout out to everybody that's trying their best over there in the ocean, as we say, or as Obi says, and waiting for Obi to get on this list. I think that would be awesome if and when that can happen. And I know he's been looking at it. So, just a matter of, you can't make this kind of money until you start to really ramp up the shares, right? And so once that winds up happening, that's where the real money comes into play, once you have a strategy that you can successfully ramp, right? And that's why we talk about how good SpaceX has been for us over the last 3 weeks because it was a ramp job. Okay, so just looking at Nvidia, so there's a little bit of a look at who's making the money there at Blue Ocean, obviously here with Trader TV Live and Real Trading. And Adara brought us the Blue Ocean numbers, the top symbols over there. They're all DRAM related.
Yeah.
They're either
Micron,
SOXL, Micron,
MUU.
Yeah, like SOXL, I think I said SOXL, SOXS, all those names, they're big overnight. And because
wait till SK Hynix.
I was gonna say a lot of it is based on the Samsung moves, right?
Exactly.
So that would make sense why a couple days ago it was so big. Seeming to offer, so CFTC blocking 24/7 oil futures. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I think the more access to the, liquid markets.
What's the logic there?
Is better for trading. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't see what the logic
lawyers
is about
want
that.
to make some money there, so
Whatever.
We'll see what winds up happening.
Staving off or slowing down the inevitable, I suppose, right? But sometimes that's just how the world works. It'll happen eventually. We had a super chat up there about Alibaba, so we're gonna go over that. Can we throw that back up there? Thank you very much there, Assassino. Tampa Bay trades. Maybe the Jays will trade someone to Tampa Bay and get some nice prospects that they always have. 5 Baba calls, 110 expiring tomorrow. Your cost per contract, 95 cents. Currently at 214. Congratulations. Obviously looking good. Does the run up end today, in your opinion? Key levels for selling? Well, we can always look at the levels. Technically, I love this on Baba. I was just wrong. I was wrong about where it was going to bounce because I stunk bid in the 80s thinking we're going to retrace to that big level. But the breakout is very much in tow. Like, it's clean, trend break on the daily. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. There's 2 levels of resistance. One is at 113, 114, and then 120. So is there room for it to go more? Sure there is. But everyone has to have their own risk parameters. I don't know what constitutes good or bad, or what's a normal winning trade for you, or what you were looking to get out of that trade. I always say no one went broke taking profit, but there are 2 key levels that it would work itself into. I always like that 50-period moving average on a daily for a target on trades like that. Again, for me, if you're trading shares, you set a trailing stop. It's a bit difficult. Options are expiring tomorrow. You got to make a decision, but you're at a pretty key level, and no one ever went broke taking profits. I love that Baba trade. We're going to go up to Adara now and talk about maybe some sectors that can get this market back to the top side. Adara.
I do have some good news for you, Neil. Those sectors do exist, and they include producer manufacturing, which has a lot of strength here in both AMAT and LRCX. They include finance. They include transportation. They include health services. They include select members of the consumer services space. Notably here, Starbucks, we had this announcement, or this report rather, from Bloomberg suggesting that the company is shifting to AI and away from certain software providers for some of their growth. So that's going to be an interesting look there. And we also have about half of electronic tech that is strong. Basically, anything other than Nvidia is looking really good. Micron up 7%. AMD up nearly 8%, Cisco 3.5%, Dell 5%, WDC nearly 7%. It's really hard to find weakness in electronic tech except for the largest name of the sector and in the market. Let's go over to tech services here. You have Google, Microsoft, Meta all selling off. Palantir down 4.5%, IBM down about 2%. Salesforce hit with a downgrade here. They're still down about 2%. They bounced nicely off the lows. And let no one ever tell you I didn't say anything good about Oracle. ORCL is up about 4% today. There wasn't really any clear catalyst for this. Apparently, some Motorsports Association made them one of the founding partners in their IMSA labs. Kind of just a random press release, but regardless of why, Oracle is up 4%, and I will say thumbs up to Oracle for that. Back to you.
We'll say thumbs up for this one. We finally... Oh man, good one here on Nvidia, man. Now we're $1.30 in the money on that one, and you know we should have really just started getting interested in and added $200, which is what we did, man. We didn't sell anything on the way down. We actually bought some dips there, and it's just like the Nasdaq bounce back has obviously helped this trade, but there it goes, Nvidia. We're getting lighter and lighter on it. We still have half though of what we had on this whole trade. So yes, finally there goes Nvidia back up to the upside here. As we held out for a while. And you are right, Salvador, man. Shout out to you there, man. That was a tough trade for sure. But hey, you know, we got to keep on doing that over and over and over again. And that was it right there. So we send that through and say thank you to Salvador. And I hope that you're able to ride that higher as well. Yeah, good one. You're still holding on to 25%. That's good. We're a little more than that right now. And I think about getting out as we approach that 201 marker. So let's put... Okay, Salvador, because you have a little less than me, I'm going to get out now. So there it is. So $200, and I think we just got 83s there. Yeah, we got 82s. So not horrible there. Ringing the register now for $1.40 to the upside there. So here's a long that's actually printing out for us, and we hope the same over there for DRAM.
Yeah, it's the first time the longs are actually starting to work.
Yeah,
you're bouncing off that volume weighted average price, but I'm still going to look 66. We just got to the 65 quarter here. As long as this holds VWAP in this trend line, I think scalp out, look to buy the dips, but have to remember, look under the hood. We know we can't be looking at SNDK and HK Hynix, but Micron holding the trend and looking very good. I'm just going to go to these two. I know there's Western Digital. I understand there's more there. SNDK is breaking out the high of the day. So if this can hold out that top without a reversal, that's just going to make me think DRAM has a chance to get all the way to those highs. So that's what we're looking for next. Don't really have that DJT. It really hasn't set up that second short yet, so I'll stay away from that. The Qs, however, are also at VWAP. So we're at we're at an interesting inflection point here. You have a false breakout and then another false break of the high, false break of the low. If we can't hold on to this volume weighted average price, I say when in doubt, zoom out. That's not a very good looking 15-minute chart. I can make some arguments as to why it might look bullish on the 3, but on the 15, this is a pretty key candle that's going to be coming in. Like if it doesn't reverse this on the 15, that's going to look awfully bearish. And got to start thinking about where the next short is going to be. Because DJ Keys might be a short, but it doesn't care what the market is going to think. And SpaceX, we kind of got away from that one early. We had that initial short that worked, got away from it to go long in Nvidia, which is a fail. That's now breaking down the lows. So we've got a downward trend in SpaceX where I think just shorting the pops on the trend line, which right now would tell me about 149.5 into 150 would be the play on SpaceX. But that's for what's going to be the future. The now is how far this bounce is going to be able to go in DRAM. SNDK needs to break the highs, Micron gets to the highs, and then DRAM should follow.
Yeah, so 100%. I mean, I'm thinking the exact same thing here. And, you know, looking at maybe names that were a little bit beat up there today, we did get SpaceX to the downside there, and that ticked out to, wow, Wait a minute. We got to yesterday. We covered some. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say yesterday we covered some at 145, right? So that's not there yet. So I was just thinking in a beat up name, and it's still positive. So I actually thought SpaceX was a little lower there in red on the day today, but it's not. So we'll have to wait to see what happens now with SpaceX coming back into this 148 level. That could be the dip buy opportunity that we're looking for on SpaceX. I'm still trying to look short there. I've paid for the shorts. Very, very cheap shorts available right here. Want to thank everybody for, again, their continued love and commitment to us in the chat. What's up to Commodity King? There we go. What's up to iCup 85. Sorry, I thought you were on Twitter on there over there. Open short interest. Yeah, that's a good one there as well. Shout out to Monarch. Shout out to Bjorn over there. Juan Padilla. Lulu shorts. Okay, that could be a name that we look at. Chris there. Hey, what's up, hangry wife, man? Hope you're not too hangry there. And if you are hungry, coming in 4 minutes, we'll discuss, yes, $1.52 now in the money there on NVIDIA. We'll click back over there and have a quick little look to that as well. What up, fam? Says Joan, says Ja. What's up, Ja Rule? Okay, NVIDIA's here as well. Neil's there. Sorry, you mentioned NVIDIA. Apple G Kings there. Neil and Sean are the best. Thank you so much for that. Big shout out to our other friends and family members here at Trader TV Live. SMCI, shout out for your call on SMCI. Hey, if there's one thing that I like to have around here is accountability. And, we're talking about SMCI, and I did write it down, and I'd like to talk about different levels and whatnot. I did have a bid on SMCI. I wrote down 28. Unfortunately, I was actually waiting at like 28.10s. I still have that order present. It didn't come into my level. I should have been, again, we were chasing the NVIDIA dream when all this was happening, and happy to have NVIDIA now $1.60 in the money. But that was a pretty good call. Therefore, SMCI news today about them. And then I liked it for the same reason I liked NVIDIA, right? We had a nice ramp up there yesterday afternoon on SMCI. So we're going to figure that out now on where to go from here. So 29.10 and change coming in for SMCI. But yeah, pretty good. Thank you for the shout out there on that one. You can catch my sticky notes every day at Trader TV Sean and on Instagram and on X. So here we go, man.
Absolutely, here we go. I'm just looking at some of these names are, I'm looking back down to my iPad, trying to find that next trade, that next opportunity. I went over to look at BE, because I love when you get a short report and you get a buyer that comes right back in, but Bloom is not doing very well. Cerebra's actually back above VWAP. I know we said we like the volume weighted average price, but one thing I've learned is just because you like the volume weighted average price, maybe wait for there to be buyers there. That's the example with DRAM. On the way down, the front side of the trade, if you bought Cerebras on the front side of the trade, you're just getting shellacked the entire way. However, if you see DRAM here, you get a bottoming tail candle, then you get the higher low. There's your VWAP hold. Just because the volume weighted average price is cool and you put it on your chart doesn't mean you have to sit on the bid when it gets there, or the offer if you like the short. Allow the buyers to step in and then you join them. So now that Cerebras is back above, I'll go right back to that well. It's got a double bottom. Put in that little dip buy, show the buyers back at the volume weighted average price, and then we can jump into this. Good looking name. Obviously, they've managed to get back above that IPO price and then hold that key 185. Here was a flush down point 2 days ago and then resistance yesterday. It's held on. I don't want to be breakout trade today. I don't think the market's strong enough for that just yet. I thought I heard we're going to go to Adair in a quick little second. I know we're going to be going to Adair in a quick little second. But one last one. We're going to go to Money Talks. A lot of people have been throwing in this name into the chat. So I just want to, we try to acknowledge everything we can. Mara is on an absolute mission today, up 18%. And there is nothing stopping Mara at this particular point. So shout out to anyone that's been involved in this. Much better than if you went long Bitcoin today. I promise you that. Shout out to Mara. Let's go to Adair.
Here is the US dollar. And as you can tell here, this DXY held that support earlier, I guess the end of last week, around that 105s, kind of just oscillating here over the last couple of days. There really has not been a lot of large economic data to assess that would really make any big changes, and that's not going to change until Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, you get CPI, month over month and year over year, core and non-core. Wednesday, PPI, month over month and year over year, core and non-core. So that's going to be some bigger economic data next week. The rest of this week, though, nothing too crazy. Expect some, stagnant dollar action to continue. Let's talk here, though, about the rates, because we're still seeing, as Sean mentioned earlier, about 76% chance that rates are going to be held at the next meeting on July 29th, 24% chance we get a 25 basis point rate hike. But if you look to September, you're still seeing more than 50% chance of rates being hiked by 25 basis points, followed by another 25 basis point hike in March. That hasn't changed. It's the same as yesterday. Worth noting. Also worth noting, we get Fed speak at 1:30 p.m. And not just any Fed speaker. We're going to get Fed's Logan. She's right over here. Now, why do I flag her? She's not a Fed governor, but she is a voting member. And she was one of the 3 Fed members going back over to the April meeting, along with Fed's Hammock and Fed's Kashkari, that voted in favor of getting rid of the easing statement that was at that time present in the Fed rate statement. What does that mean? She's already a little bit hawkish. So keep an eye out for any comments that we have today. We know we already had some hawkish tones coming out of that Fed meeting. Her comments coming at 1:30 p.m., following pretty mild comments earlier from Fed's Williams at the bottom here. He basically just said, hey, I don't know how stable coins are going to impact demand for reserves. And then he also said that inflation's still too high. Nothing groundbreaking. Logan will be the one to watch at 1:30 p.m. Back to you.
Thanks, Adair. We're going to go over, and yeah, there it is, man. More task forces being set up as we speak. And,
You need more task forces.
Yeah, maybe Adair will be on the next task force as well.
Just let me know, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. I think that would be, actually, no, do not let her know. We have to keep, right, we're keeping you here, Adair. Kevin, that's a horrible idea.
We'll make up our own task force here.
Do not do that at all, Kevin. Intel had a good overnight. Yeah, what's up, East meets West bestie. Remind me of that stupid Kanye song with his daughter there, Northwest. It's called something like Yo, What's Up, Bestie, and all that kind of stuff. But shout out to one of the GOATs in the hip hop game, Kanye West, and definitely a bucket list thing to go to one of those concerts. That looks insane what he's been doing lately. So big shout out to that man for sure. Kanye West, one of the best, if not the best. All right, Intel, what's it been doing? Yeah, Intel did have a good overnight, but yeah, not a great midday or early day, I guess, on Intel there, trying to break back down now below. Look, we've been cashing out, man. We talked about that with Salvador there and what his thoughts were. We let NVIDIA run. Sharif, it's $1.50 now, but we've been battling on on NVIDIA all day. But there's a couple outs right there around 201.20. We'll see what winds up happening there for Intel. Neil's got the long DRAM. I've got the long NVIDIA. And yeah, what do you think of DVLT? Data Vault, I'll get to that in a second. Yo, Hamster, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. He says the worst thing about Trader TV Live is that I have too many days off. I think it's one of the best things because it gets Joe on the show. So shout out to days off.
Joey shivers.
I think I'm going to actually apply for more days off so we can get more action with Joe. So we want to say a big shout out to Joe, one of the best members of our team. But I mean, you can insert anybody's name there as we get the man, the myth, the legend. Sharif is back in the building right now. I assume the workout was well? Yes, sir. It was. When is it not, I guess, Sharif, right? I mean, this guy. Oh, yeah, that's right. How your shoulders. Okay, we can get.
What?
We shouldn't talk. I heard his shoulder doing a leg press over there. So shout out to Sharif there. So we will clear that one. And yeah, DVLT, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but right there. So I guess out of DRAM there and still looking to get out of NVIDIA as well.
DRAM just broke that. I always use the prior bar, but then I use the current on the VWAP. So the bar underneath the volume weighted average price was right here at break even, so I jumped out of it. We ended up getting, as far as the move went, it only went to 65.3, 64.8 to 65.3. That's all it went. And now we're back under the volume weighted average price. I did say, why aren't we shorting $9 on, or when I say we, it's a figure of speech, I mean me. Why not short SMR every single day at 9? We did it 2 days ago, didn't do it yesterday. It's literally gone there 4 times today, so maybe the 4th time is the charm because this time I'm in it. Did a topping tail wick at 902. I got 97, so if it breaks 02, then I'm out. I want to play into VWAP and then lower. So a couple of legs out, 1-to-1 and then VWAP, and then we want to look for even lower here on SMR. Got to keep in mind, oh, wow. All right, I was about to say we got to keep in mind we haven't had any big shocks in futures. Oil futures just broke the low of the day here.
Yeah, they did.
On a big time move to the downside here. One of the biggest candles or moves we've seen all all morning long. So that could buoy the markets for sure. And thank you, Tisha Perkins, as well. We have another small capper, JLHL, for Neil, Sean, and you know who will actually be trading that name will be likely Sharif. So what is this? Julong Holdings.
Oh boy.
All right. Without making this, I think we know what this company is. Probably a Chinese small capper. I'll let that one speak for itself. Bit of a dead cat bounce with it, but this is the daily chart, which I think very much speaks for itself when you have one of these runners. So when you get a secondary move, one of the best things you can think about is usually doesn't go quite as far as it did the first time. So this is probably not going to like $80 like it did last time. Resistance 625 and 10. Congratulations. Just understand, oftentimes these don't last very long. Not to be rude about the Chinese small cappers, but you know, they do tend to rug you harder than the others. I'm just saying.
We are now $2 in. We're rugging this one pretty hard right now. Hopefully we do get a little bit of a move back to the upside on Nvidia. Just took off a little bit there. Let's go find out right now what's for lunch. You know, we got some, you saw it was pea-meal bacon is what was there this morning. So lots of bacon coming through today. So where's the bacon, you may ask? Not at lunch. We'll see what's going on. Yesterday was the Mexican flag, and it was great, man. Those bowls were great. Oh, today's Swedish. Oh, no. It can only be one thing here. And
Why is that? Oh, no.
Yeah, because Swedish, the first thing that comes to mind is Swedish meatballs, and that's exactly what it is. I don't know. I'm not in favor of this, but hey, we'll find out. It says IKEA-style Swedish meatballs with rich, savory gravy.
IKEA-style.
Oh, man, I don't know. Creamy Yukon Gold mashed potatoes. I'm not super excited if you can't figure this out. Lingonberry compote. That might be nice. Roasted root vegetables. Love some vegetables around here.
Can I weigh in? Okay,
Yeah.
so two things. For one, for the country, much like that time where it had like the Israeli flag, and then for the food, I think it said Jewish, and then it was actually Greek food. This is weird to me because it says Nordic. Yes, I know Norway is part of the Nordic region, but this is also Sweden, which is also part of the Nordic region. But like, why wouldn't you do Scandinavian? It's kind of weird to me. Just say Sweden or say Scandinavian. It was kind of weird to just have them say Nordic. And number two, I do wonder, Sean, if they actually just, and Neil, they just got this stuff from IKEA because the lingonberry is the IKEA sauce.
Yeah, I know. So that'd be interesting to see that. Does it say anywhere there? You mentioned the Nordic. Yeah, I did. It says Sweden.
It's just a flag.
No,
it's
no,
just a Swedish flag.
Just a Swedish flag. Oh, you're saying about in the weekly theme. Yeah, under the theme, it does say that right there. But the theme of the, thank you, Adara, for that. The theme of the day right now, though, is NVIDIA. I mean, it's literally the only name I traded today. And let's go, NVIDIA, right back up to VWAP, man. We didn't think it was possible, but anything's possible. And right now there with this one, yes, Sharif, anything is possible. As we continue to get excited here.
You can literally fly.
Yeah, about NVIDIA up to 201.50 right now. And shout out to Salvador and everybody here that believed in this trade. Back to the upside. There goes NVDA.
Get it, NVIDIA. It'll be a fail for me, for sure. I got to wait for this Sharif story. But the midday is coming rather quickly, everybody. Want to give a big shout out in the chat to all of the small cappers that have been able to find the runners. But understand, the market is on an absolute tear. You're getting Tesla try to come back in. I even still like DRAM again.
Ooh.
It's going to put another, it might have lost VWAP, but the first long still worked, and it's still putting in some higher lows. So another close above VWAP, and I just jumped right back into the trade. But it hasn't done it yet, but I want to make sure it does that on the 3-minute. Can get out when it breaks that trend for sure. So want to take a second one here on DRAM. That was the first long that actually worked out for me, so I want to make sure we go back into the well. USO is still dropping, although catching a small bid. It has been all trend down, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for oil, I should say, unless anybody's long. If you're long USO, it's not good for you, but we like oil to the downside. At the end of the day, that's going to be positive for the markets, I think.
All right, appreciate you, Gary, over there. Instincts is pretty much the whole game, man. You got to have good instincts, and I do appreciate that talk there for sure. So thank you so much for that one. And sometimes it is that feel, right? I think it's instincts, share sizing, opportunity cost, all that. It's all wrapped into one. But look, man, we wouldn't have the show without all of you guys. So thank you again for coming through again. Thank you to everybody that's been watching on TikTok. The bigger and the better show is about to happen momentarily right now. As we've got Sharif, we've got Joe, we've got Sia, we've got Adara. Everybody's ready to rock and roll there on the midday. All right, man, decent day today. Hopefully we can make a little bit of money here in the afternoon and on the midday show. I think we can. The boys are ready to go, man. It's maybe a VRAX kind of day.
No, that's SOXL day.
No, let's go find out what they're doing today. More halters just to my guys on the left. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you at 2 p.m. Ciao.